Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut. Joining me, as always, is going to be the amazing Grubby, as well as our awesome analyst, Justing. And we've had a week off from some of the games as we get ready for our week number 6, day number 1. So in this time, I gotta ask you guys what you've been up to. Justing, I want to start with you.
Well, I've been playing some card games and petting Springy, doing the more of the same, more or less.
And Grubby, you've been super busy because you just announced a small, maybe a tiny itty bitty tournament that you might be doing sometime soon.
Yeah, super cool. HeroesHearth Wisdom and I have gotten together to also organize a tournament. It's a one evening tournament for Age of Empires 4, and that's going to happen on Friday alongside our CCL of the weekend, of course. So we got content on Friday and on Saturday, Sunday. So cool. Playing all my favorite games, and we're going to be casting that as well. I and Moltrap, who I used to do StarCraft 2 with.
Awesome, that'll be really, really cool. And Grubby, for anyone that is wondering, where could they watch this event? Maybe what time on next Friday, December 17th?
December 17th, Friday, 8 p.m. Amsterdam time zone, which is 11 a.m. in San Francisco. And it's going to be on my channel, twitch.tv/followgrubby, but produced by the excellent production that you are familiar with of HeroesCCL and Wisdom.
I had to bring it up at the top of the show because it's really exciting. I'm super excited to kind of cozy up that evening and watch those games. I'm sure a lot of people at home are as well. Oh my god, words are hard today. But you know, it isn't very hard to understand the prize pool, because we do have a nice little breakdown on what's happening for this prize pool right now. We do have 60% of the donations going into said prize pool, first place taking 35% of said 60%. The remaining 40% will be coming back to Wisdom to be able to create amazing graphics, scene transitions, and run these broadcasts every weekend for all of you at home. So thank you everyone at home for your support. You can use !prize pool to get yourself over to the match arena. If you want to donate, it's always much appreciated. Thank you to everyone who has donated to the prize pool and is pushing that goal. We're really hoping to hit that 10,000 sometime soon. And if we can hit that 10,000, maybe we'll be able to get some furry friends on the stream for all of you at home. But it's been a really, really fun time watching this prize pool grow. The players are very, are more and more enticed by seeing that prize pool go up, Justin, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of pressure when you're playing for money, when money's on the line, and it just makes everyone take it a little bit more seriously. And it's more exciting to watch when that pressure's on. So appreciate all the donations.
Yeah, it's a very, very, there's a lot of pressure gaining, and we're also getting towards the end of our round robin, the regulation season, the group stage, however you want to talk about or call the start of the HeroesCCL season, getting into the playoffs. And I believe we can look at some standings and kind of get you all caught up as to where everyone sits within the overall HeroesCCL Season 3. Exciting stuff. Realistically, as we'll have games this weekend and all that kind of stuff, but just it's going to be awesome to check this out. Now, Grubby, can you kind of break down the standings for us as to kind of who's sitting where and maybe some expectations as to who could shift today or tomorrow?
Okay, guys, keep this in mind. Top 3 guarantees you a top 4 placement in the tournament, and you get to bypass the gauntlet. And in the gauntlet, the bottom 5 teams will play knockouts all the way from the bottom all the way to the top in order to try and get into that top 4. That means that right now Simplicity is looking hecka safe. 30k is virtually guaranteed to be in top 3. Wildheart and Oxygen are still clamoring for anywhere between rank 2 to rank 5 from the looks of it, with 2 matches left on the docket. And then Chili Mountain is all but guaranteed to be last place. Maybe they can overtake Granite, but it's going to require them to win 2 matches. And everyone else, somewhere in the middle. Every single league rank improvement of this group stage will help you to be required to play fewer elimination knockout matches at the playoffs. So every point matters.
And that gauntlet's going to be really exciting because what we'll have is, 8th place versus 7th place, and then 7th place, or the winner of that goes on to versus 6th place, and it's on and on and on. And the hardest spot to be is that number 4 slot, because I think someone in one of the interviews was saying that it's just like when you're in that number 4 slot, you can get just knocked down. I think it was actually Justing last weekend was saying that it's kind of a hard spot to be in because you can get knocked out by the behemoth, the creature that comes from the bottom of the gauntlet. So really kind of cool stuff. And we'll get to the gauntlet in a couple weeks. What we can get into, Justing, is the matches we're going to be seeing today here on HeroesCCL.
So today we've got Simplicity versus Storm Esports up first, and then Chili Mountain versus 30K. Simplicity versus Storm Esports is going to be an incredible game, especially important for Storm Esports because, as we saw in the standings, Simplicity is alone in that 5-0 spot, and Storm Esports is down in the 2-3s. And if they can bring themselves up to the middle of the pack, that's going to be extremely important for them going forward because they really don't want to be finishing the season in that 6th place spot. And Storm Esports has been looking a lot better than their record. So I think our first match, Simplicity versus Storm Esports, is going to be really, really a good one.
I absolutely agree. We will close out the day with Chili Mountain versus 30K, but we can immediately, Grubby, talk about this Simplicity roster.
Yeah, Fancy Pants, Legacy, Masquerade, Mene, Unaverted, and Cure. Cure now kind of taking a backseat as he's been focusing on a few other things, but he will come like Batman when his symbol is flashed in the skies. But this is an excellent, excellent team. And I think Unaverted and Legacy have been kicking the most behind among them. Legacy is so stalwart on that healer role, and Unaverted great on that range damage role, just exerting so much pressure from the back.
A lot of really good pressure as well. And when we look at the Storm Esports roster, Justin, what are your thoughts?
So you've got BBJ playing support, Ikwaza playing the offlane, Ivy Tings playing that ranged flex, Lauber playing tank, and Rutso the hard flex. This is a team that I think independently, they're all near best in slot players. So when you put a team like this together, they win nearly every team fight, and they all of them kind of know what they're doing individually, and I think they're all just really, really scary individual players. So when they get to team fighting, they're a really, really they're a pleasure to watch in team fights, but I think they sometimes fall behind a bit in the macro, and they have those kind of off games. So they're a really exciting team to play to watch. A bit of a coin flippy team almost, where they're really either winning really hard or just kind of losing. And yeah, they're an exciting team to watch.
It is really exciting to watch all these teams and all this play, and we actually want to highlight something really quickly, is you can actually watch HeroesCCL at Next Level Gaming every single weekend. Next Level Gaming has joined us for HeroesCCL Season 3 as our sponsor. What is Next Level Gaming? It is a Miami-based esports LAN center where you can play Heroes of the Storm with some extra experience and all the characters unlocked, as well as you can travel down to Next Level Gaming on Saturday and Sunday to watch HeroesCCL live at this LAN center. So make sure you use !NXT in chat to find out all you can about Next Level Gaming, and maybe you can travel down there or, drive over how close you are to it and check out the weekend broadcast inside the LAN Esports Center. So thank you so much for joining us as Grubby. This is exciting. We're getting ready into our first map of the day of Storm Esports versus Simplicity. And I want to kind of just gauge your expectations for this, because I know Justin and I have talked a lot about this, and I got to get your brains in here as well about what are your thoughts of Storm Esports versus Simplicity before we get into our map stuff.
All right, let's look at Simplicity's score so far. They're 5-0, but how did they get there? 3-2, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1, and 3-2. Their only 3-0 was against Chili Mountain, and they had close matches into Oxygen and into Diamond Hands. Oxygen and Diamond Hands are 3-2 and 2-3, and Storm is 2-3. And we all feel like Storm, because of their forfeit loss, maybe their score is worse than maybe their level would represent. So I think a 3-2 is very likely. In fact, most likely if we had like a bot analytic that would like check everyone's elo and stuff and their rating and their score so far, I think it would predict a 3-2 for Simplicity. But who will upend the bot? Who will upend the would-be prediction?
Well, we'll have to see if Storm Esports can do that, and we can find out if Storm Esports are able to do that on this first map, because we know where we're going to for map number 1. It's going to be the choice of Alterac Pass by Simplicity, as Storm Esports has won the coin flip, opting in for first pick priority for map number 1. Storm Esports will ban out Dragonshire, and Simplicity will ban out Tomb of the Spider Queen. Some stats for those of you at home or anyone on the broadcast that do like stats. When it comes to Simplicity on Alterac Pass, they are lossless as they are 3-0, and the same can be said about the members of Storm Esports. They are 2-0. So both these teams, lossless on the map, will find their first loss here. The one team will be starting their momentum in this best of 5 series. And as we start to load on in, Justin, I got to get your thoughts, maybe expectations getting into this first map.
So last week from the side of Simplicity, we saw what was probably the most dominant game on this map yet. they closed the game out in, I believe, less than 18 minutes. I remember Masquerade taking the objective by himself by 4 minutes, and they had a boss at before 6 minutes. So Simplicity knows how to play this map. They're the ones who picked the map. I'm expecting Storm Esports is aware of this, though, and they've watched them play. I'm expecting either an Anubarak ban or just high priority pick, maybe even first picking it for the Storm Esports, unless they have some response to that. Because Masquerade on Anubarak has been just stealing objective every single game on this map in the early game, and they really need to shut that down so that he's not able to just get them a free lead like that.
Masquerade is 5-1 in wins and losses on Anubarak, so he's looking really good on the big Beetle boy. What do you think about all this, Grubby? Got to get your thoughts on everything for Alterac Pass as well.
Well, it's interesting how Anubarak matches up into other tanks. He's often a counter pick into Stitches, but I feel like Muradin usually does fairly well into Anubarak, as does Johanna. Storm could have gone for their favorite Muradin on Lauer in order to counter the Anubarak, but it's become such an obvious theme, maybe thanks to our commentary and broadcast, that it has become, like, we've been pointing out the Anubarak objective a couple of times now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And Storm saw that, and they're like, yeah, we're going to just nip that in the bud. We're going to take Anubarak ourselves. It's an excellent choice. They could have tried to counter with Muradin, but they'll take it. It comes at the cost of losing Dahaka and Lunara. And we should point out, by the way, the balance patch is live. The Rhaegar ban, the changes, the small nerfs to Lunara, to Stukov, it's all kind of there already.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Grubby. I was going to say, we are not on any sort of tournament server. This is live. The patch that you're playing in Storm League is the patch that these players are playing here in HeroesCCL. And we'll see how this has adjusted things. Brightwing was nerfed with that hypershift at level 1. I believe it went from 8% to 6%. Still a priority. Blaze will be picked up as well as this Anubarak. Looking like a pretty nice wombo potential for the side of Storm Esports, Justin.
Yeah, it is, but this map is pretty big, so I'm not really sure if Storm Esports is going to be able to get those combos. Also, how I'd mentioned that Storm Esports feels like a team that has really good individual players. They maybe don't necessarily have the absolute best coordination together as a team in fights. It's sort of just when they have 5 players on things that can kind of be autonomous, and then they just happen to kind of work together perfectly. That's when Storm Esports looks strong. They play a lot of death balls where they're all kind of doing their own thing together. And so I think off the bat, I'm kind of preferring Simplicity's draft just stylistically between the two teams.
Sure.
I think Storm Esports kind of struggles when they have to play around these kind of wombo combo style compositions, at least in the past they have. So while they did get the Anubarak, giving away Dahaka and Lunara for Simplicity, I think might be a bit of a rough start, because they've already got the cleanse from Lunara on 13. Yeah. And while she was nerfed, she's still a huge priority pick in the draft. Yeah. So getting the global as well, and Simplicity kind of taking away sort of those death ball style tools with the Greymane and Imperial. On a big map like this, there's a lot of places to push too, so, and Greymane to be able to secure the camps. I'm really liking what Simplicity's putting together so far.
I would have to agree with you, Justin. This Simplicity is one of the few teams in CCL this season that has proven that they can make the Tyrael work. And so far, I'm actually liking a lot of what the Tyrael amplifies in the Greymane and Lunara aggression. What do you think about all this, Grubby? Because we get a Mephisto Zeratul, big picks from the side of Storm.
Russell plays this before for sure. Mephisto is very strong, and he knows that teams are going to want to clump up around Tyrael's shield and movement speed. They are fast, though. It's easy to dodge his damage to a degree, and that's where Anubarak and Blaze come in with the lockdown. Zeratul also a very powerful pick here, potentially very strong. There isn't a lot of CC on the side of Simplicity, so while Zeratul can get chased with mobility, he can't get locked down as easily. Deckard does have the Horadric stun staff, Daka has isolation and drag, but overall this should be fairly free for Zeratul. The only thing really against him is just the sheer amount of damage that Simplicity is packing.
As we load on into this map, I have to get Justin's big brain onto all of this. What do you think? Who could potentially win Alterac Pass map number 1?
I'm leaning slightly towards Simplicity, but I think both drafts kind of have their pros and cons. I think that there's going to be a bit of a struggle for Storm in the similar way to as we saw in Oxygen versus Simplicity last week with the Mephisto and the rest of their composition. They don't necessarily take the camp very well, the null camp. The camp is really tanky and it's hard to take, and you can tell that they have Zeratul Blaze to take it, I guess. They don't really have anything. Mephisto does it really slowly, so they don't have anything great to take the camp, and that's really important. So I'm kind of expecting Simplicity to just get a big tempo advantage off of the camps. But once you get to team fights, it's going to be a lot on Mene or whoever's playing the Lunara to cleanse the combos from Storm Esports, because they have Deckard, who has no cleanse. He has no way to stop a one-shot. So depending on what build IBTings goes on the Zeratul, I think the ranged on Simplicity might be under a lot of pressure. So I'd say slightly favored towards Simplicity. They have the cleanse on Lunara with the Deckard, and they can do objectives and just kind of play the map a lot easier.
I heavily agree with you. I look at the Simplicity draft, and their momentum can be extremely terrifying once they get a little bit ahead of the side of Storm Esports. I feel like it's going to be difficult for Storm to come back into this, but I'm heavily believing in this Mephisto. I like the Brightwing still. I'm going to be leaning into a Storm Esports draft here. And we are going to be loading into Alterac Pass in just a second. The map is just taking a little bit of time. It's got the engines are warming up for these players as well, as we were just about to get into this map. But it's really, really exciting. And as always, Justin, thank you so much for your analysis, your breakdown, and the information that you can provide, because I do believe we have just about loaded into Alterac Pass, and we will see you after map number 1, my friend. I'm ready to go. Yeah, Grubby, it's the same for me. I'm itching to get into this, and here we go. We can load on in and let you know who's playing what, because we have Simplicity in the blue, Masquerade playing the Tyrael, Unaverted on the Greymane, Mene on the Lunara, Pants on the Dahaka, Legacy on the Deckard. Over in the red, we're looking at Storm Esports. BBJ on the Brightwing, Lauber on the Anubarak, Zeratul to be played by IB Tings, Rutso on the Mephisto, and Blaze to be played by Dayquaza. Grubby, you've heard what Justin and I think about this game, but what do you think about this matchup here on Alterac Pass?
Yeah, I think Justin hit the nail on the head with the difficulty with which Storm Esports can take the camp. Ideally, Mephisto has a wingman that can put the Hogger camp, in their place so that he can hit the entirety of his ring in terms of damage. So it always needs 2 members to take it, and even then it's not super fast. Whereas Greymane can take that camp faster than Mephisto plus almost anyone else on his team. So there will be pressure. There's also the Haka pressure, always a thing. Lots of XP, lots of waves pressure. And then, throw a charge in, getting a bit of damage there. Feel like he was holding his Impale, and there we go, holding Impale for the counterattack. And then just the amount of damage that Greymane, Tyrael, Lunara can put on lanes. If I were Simplicity here, I would feel so much freedom to push on the side lanes and just use one person to kind of get vision. I think they're going to play a game where they don't need or want team fights or pickoffs per se. They're just going to play real chill, and I don't see the team that Storm has easily able to force kills. Zeratul needs late game, so I think until level 16, Simplicity should be winning and getting at least a level lead and probably 2 fourths lead. And then at level 16, if Storm still has 3 keeps alive, anything is possible. So the early game should go to Simplicity by my reckoning and guess. Let's see if that's true or not.
Grubby's got his crystal ball for today's HeroesCCL matches. You know what? I would love if we could do. I know we do Twitch predictions for like who wins, who loses. I wish we could do that. Like, how close is the Grubby prediction on forts to go down at that point? That'd just be a really cool metric to look at. But as we look at bottom lane, Unaverted is getting dove. Lauber will not land the burrow, but I feel like Greymane could have just kept running. No?
Yeah, I think you're right actually. He turned around, took one auto from a Nubarak, dropped to 7 life, then a Beetle bit him, and he was like, not necessary to do the fancy footwork of jumping in and then trying to use that as a springboard to jump out. Meanwhile, Deckard and Mephisto have the weirdest one-on-one in the world, where Deckard doesn't want to go near. Well, they can't hurt each other, basically. Top lane, Dayquaza winning out a bit in terms of health against Pants. Pants winning out in terms of mana. And yeah, what do you reckon? First blood to Storm is actually surprising and very encouraging for them.
It's a good bolster in the mentals and even just momentum wise. As Pants sidesteps the jet propulsion from Dayquaza, here comes a face shift from Brightwing. 4 members of Storm Esports are diving onto Pants in this top lane. There's a literal dive from Lauber into Pants, who's popped the essence, and there will be a secondary kill, bolstering and pushing this experience for Storm Esports by a little bit. And this is a Dahaka dead for 12 seconds, and I can check for everyone at home. Rushstock is off a cooldown. Dayquaza will Hearth out for full mana. I don't know if Masquerade did see that, but Lauber will continue to soak top lane. And Mephisto and Brightwing to grab the camp on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that so many kills are going to Storm early. It takes a lot to take down a Dahaka, and Storm showed up in force with 4 members. Kudos to them. But I think Simplicity should really just play the odds. See someone on the map, push. Don't see, don't push. Of course, Storm, they know that, so they're playing with the vision. Anubrak has not revealed himself yet, to name just one example. If you are not showing on the map as Storm, with 2 to 3 members missing, you kind of psychologically represent being everywhere at the same time. Nobody can really take that risk. But that's where the Wisp comes in, right? You gotta use that Wisp to know where people are.
And Sentinel Wisp at level 1 is going to be amplifying so much vision as you get a 200% range increase once the Wisp is in a bush for 5 seconds remaining stationary. That 200% range, the easiest way to kind of put it so people have an idea, on Infernal Shrines, when you rotate between mid-bottom, if you put that Wisp in the bush on the right side of the objective or the left, you are literally able to see between the 2 rotations, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the fight right here. Good cleanse onto Dayquaza. Lauber in that anchoring position to make sure that no one is able to step forward. And it's Storm Esports, Grubby, who get 20 seconds from this initial 30-second timer. Only 10 seconds of channel time remaining. Really good start for Storm Esports. Really breaking my expectations, because we were all kind of like, Storm's going to struggle at the start, and they'll find their momentum later. But it seems like the momentum is already here.
So the CC helps a lot that they bring. Brightwing, Nubrak, and Blaze bring a lot of CC, and that has helped with kill securing, even when the damage source is a little bit awkward, like what Zeratul Mephisto bring. BBJ with the channel. The Horaja Cube will not cancel on time. It's already been given up by Simplicity. Unaverted is on the Hogger camp, taking that as Greymane. Now, I think what's really important here is control for the hotkey to show the experience for minions and heroes. And both teams have kind of done what they're best at. You look at that minion tab, it's 14,000 against 12.5. You look at the heroes tab, that's only 900 XP. So whatever kills Storm got, unless it translates to objective and building victories, it's worth nothing compared to the XP that Simplicity has been racking up. So let's get out of the mental headspace where we say that Storm has the momentum and are winning. They have the objective, now let's see what they can get out of it. Because the kills, they're ephemeral XP that eventually gets balanced out. And already has been. Burrow charge in on Tyrael, Impale misses on Greymane.
It's a very good point. You do make a extremely good point in the experience gained, but let's see what actually is gained during this objective, because this is where I'm kind of expecting Storm to keep pushing in. And mid lane doesn't get much here. Top lane seems like it's Dahaka managing. There's going to be Endurance of Fate connecting onto this Tyrael. Sanctification will be utilized, and a burrow out from the Anubrak. So we get Sanctification traded for a Endurance of Hate. Not bad trades. I'd say it's kind of better to the side of Storm, as just less of a cooldown. But for sure, overall, as we take stock of the map, Grubby, Storm Esports, they found a gate and some gate damage here and there. Not the best, but it is still the first objective, and we're like 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I'll say it's probably below the average, which means good job to Simplicity for defense. Yep. You're pointing that out. Like, what do we really get about the gate mid, some of the towers, bottom 2 towers, and top 2 towers? Decent. The minimum you would want out of it. The only way you're going to get less is if all of you die trying to get the objective. We've definitely seen more from the first. So solid defense by Simplicity. They are packing a lot of raw damage. In the balance of the spread of a hero, they've given up stunts and silences, and instead they have mobility and damage. That's the heroes they've picked. So they're good at DPSing those advancing generals.
I'm looking at just the setup overall. We have BBJ in the top lane on that Brightwing, setting up for the phase shift. Second objective phase is going to be here in about 25 seconds or so. And Grubby, since we're in the 10 talent tier range, we've got some good back and forth, and Heroics are about to be off a cooldown. You want to jump in some comms for this next objective?
Yeah, let's introduce what we do here at HeroesCCL to any new viewers. We can join in and listen to the team comms. Let's do it. Let's listen to Storm.
Into Storm Esports, we shall... I don't have production, I just realized. I'm sorry. I just realized I went to go grab production to take us into a call. I don't have them in this voice channel, so instead of awkwardly typing, I'll just... okay, they're in. So, let's go ahead and jump into Storm Esports, right?
Okay.
They could go bosses.
You can go over them.
Yeah, you can start backdooring. Somebody has to catch top for them. Good look here. Decker?
Oh, there's a...
I eat out.
Nice.
Kill Decker.
Here we go. I think I interrupted Sang.
Fucked up with you. I have E1, E1.
Stunning 2.
Volley in 2.
I'm fine.
Volleying Masca.
Mask, shoot. He's dead.
Nice. Good shit, boys. We can do the objective now.
You cap, I catch a mid wave.
Tapping. I don't have Z in 14.
Someone has to take over. IB, go to tap as well if you need it. Alright, we're ahead and we're scaling. It's good. Wisp here.
Yeah.
Nice. Wisp dead.
That Blaze auto range. Let's see.
Probably just stay and fight for this, right?
Yeah, stay and fight for this.
I can walk bot and then Z up maybe.
Yeah.
If you guys fight, I'm just gonna Z right away. But I can get bot.
Yeah, they can.
They're fighting already.
I'm here.
I can just put oil and they can't cap.
Yeah.
Doc out of this.
Keep putting oil on them. Not fighting, don't fight. Just stall.
I can start again.
They sank?
I need help.
I'm dead.
Indeed.
They slept.
We went too deep there. Like,
I can stun.
and
I
I've
can
already
bunker for
swallowed.
you, I can bunker.
Alright, cleansed.
I'll be slow. Give it my today. Maybe Graven is killable or Legacy. Man is 1. They're all 1. Ooh, the
Fucking body blocked.
golems. Next time just play first all when we cap it. Like, there's no need to like be up here. Like, we just play from this angle. I felt like I needed to E in, but maybe I didn't. To like save.
The objective may have gone over to the side of Storm Esports, but it's Simplicity who kind of win the smaller battle, as this should be a little bit of a gain from an objective phase, but still cleared out well by the side of Simplicity. I'm looking at IB Things in the bottom lane who's just trying to force the fort. That's actually, is this, that's not too aggressive. It's a Tyrael and a Dahaka.
Yeah, I mean, is this legal? And IB thinks it's like, yes, look here, Article 3.14 of the Zeratul Statute. When you are 1v2 on enemy terrain, you are not trespassing. You're totally fine. Nobody can catch you.
Today I learned, okay.
Fair enough. Interesting loser comps there. It was loser and winner. It's kind of mixed.
Yeah.
Because it was like a mixed blessing. They still get, what is this, 90%? 50% and 90% of a fort. That's pretty good, but XP wise they're down. That's a sanctification. That's really early. It secures the boss. Solid play there by Masquerade, just playing it safe, not going to try to take any crazy risks, guaranteeing the boss despite their impending level lead, the talent lead. They just decided to play it that way, get the boss, because now it offers them the range of possibilities to go across the map, get the Hellbat, and to get the bottom boss as well. But thinking forward a bit, this kind of forced predictable movement, as we look at mid, what Ivy thinks is doing there on Zeratul, wouldn't that expose top and maybe even mid forward if Simplicity does play it that way? Now we're going mid, now we're going bot.
It is kind of telegraphed. I'm looking at this as well. It's just like, how does Simplicity actually reel this back in? Because that was a boss and sanctification, and you get like 25% of a fort. I'm also sorry, Grubby. I was also looking at the talents for Tyrael, and no holy ground, no double
They haven't been taking holy ground for a while. We've been seeing more Law and Order, even when it is not full smite, ARAM, smite damage build. So they're getting more damage on smite, and they're getting more shields, essentially. Even though that doesn't seem to be like particularly synergistic with some of his kit. And we always thought of Holy Ground as like team utility, but yeah, not going for it. Kind of a big open map. Maybe that's why, but
it's just a little interesting on the choices for that. Yeah, I was noticing there was a isolation used from Dahaka onto Lauber. Zeratul did use Might of the Nerazim, but that's not the longest cooldown in the world. It's 20 seconds.
So Lunara Mena, the only one that hasn't died yet for Simplicity. On the other side, it is Legacy on Brightwing, and it is Zeratul Ibitings that haven't died yet. A fairly even game, level 17 apiece. Skirmish is breaking out. There's a Drag Tongue on Blaze.
Quaz are going to get chunked. He's going to be able to jet propulsion away. BBJ with some blink heals, as there's going to be a polymorph onto Unaverted, who does Razor Swipe away. Rolls back into the enemy side, as there will be a Cocoon connecting. It's a little anti-synergistic, as that does offer up an opportunity to allow Unaverted to stay safe. So the Cocoon might have been a little bit of a misplay, almost even a help into Unaverted. So I think there could have been enough dive damage before Decker King got that stay a while and listen. But we can talk about that in a little bit, because I think, Grubby, the fight should continue. I expect it to. Maybe we can talk about all that.
Yeah, Simplicity is trying to buy time here while getting the Hogger camp, and it is too far away for Storm to go for their Hogger camp as they are positioning aggressively. Just to harken back to the moment you just mentioned, I do believe IB Teams would have killed Greymane if not for the Cocoon. It was a bit unfortunate. You saw the frustrated things there by Storm as well on that target. But again, the channel, now Simplicity with the defense. Keep applying more oil, said Storm. And they're gonna try to do just that. They tried to delete the Haka, but it was actually a really good play by Pants. He dodges lethal damage, Durance misses. The complete turnaround, the goal here was kill the Haka. Everything was burned. He got the burrow off. It's a disaster. It's 2 kills against Storm. Pants just rocked that fight there. Incredible. Maybe a little bit of Lunara as well. I think I heard the memory of a cleanse by Lunara. Not 100% sure. Would have to see it again, but that was sick. Pants survives. The turnaround. Bunker not even used. Simplicity was merciless in their turnaround. In the meantime, though, massive wave top is going to kill the top forward.
Man, Pants looked so killable. He just, I keep peeking back at our live stream because I want to try and see it as well. He just looked so killable in that moment, but it was amazing sanctification from Masquerade and just good target calling from Mene and Unaverter, or at least target prioritization to be able to get that kill onto Blaze so very quickly. Good body blocking as well. Man, I absolutely love this because Pants, I'm looking back at it, he should have died, but he burrows into the ground with like 300 HP, hits the essence, cycles out, and there was some great body blocking into that little sidewall from the rest of Simplicity. But as we are going to be seeing the objective phase stalled at 2.8 seconds, we have BBJ actually going for the Hush at level 16. This is going to be a really good talent for maybe to lock down Greymane so he can't roll away, to maybe lock down Lunara so she can't use that Abolish magic.
I think he has it to interrupt Sanctification. Very special tech pick. If he centers his Arcane Flare, he can interrupt Sanctification. So now he has Polymorph and Arcane to interrupt it, so he's allowed to use Polymorph, not for interrupt. Anubarak gets absolutely destroyed. Keep in mind, guys, this is a very hard matchup for Anubarak when he's called out by himself. Greymane is absolutely one of the main Anubarak counters. He's packing all the physical damage, whereas Anubarak is best against spell damage. He was very far forward. He was not near Blaze, who could bunker. He did not open a fight with Cocoon. He was just kind of there on the left side, still hoping to kind of hover around the left side, draw some attention, maybe burrow charge out. There was a massive move on him. I'm trying to remember what exactly happened to him. Maybe he was the Haka Herodic Staff stunned and then Drag Tongue. Yeah, that was not good, actually.
Yeah. It was. I had the exact same thought, Grubby. I was like, this is a little far forward, and then we see just that red Hef bar get shredded. But let's talk about the positive for Simplicity. They've gained an objective. Nubarak is just now respawning. Objectives are into lane, and this mid lane fort should be shredded with the help of the Null Camp, as well as the objective phase on top of it. Dahaka's actually split pushing bottom, BBJ showing in top lane. I think this is all Simplicity right now. They are completely pushing in heavily into the side of Storm Esports, and I don't know if Storm can, well, weather the storm.
Yeah, and it's exactly the opposite of the prediction. The first kills went to Storm, and now at this level, it's Simplicity that has more and more advantage. And you can kind of see how easy it is for the members of Simplicity to dodge Mephisto damage. That 40% movement speed that Tyrael offers, everyone's natural mobility. It has rarely been where Mephisto goes in and gets massive damage on everyone, poke or otherwise. Lauber and Dequanta will need to move, well, they'll need to move mountains, I wanted to say, but they really need to lock down mountains in order to have Rutso shoot. Let's see, will Nubarak be more survivable? He went for Rewind, a greedy choice, not the Carapace, not the armor. Blaze did go for the bonus armor with his bunker. Now that level 20 has been reached, we've got Rewind, we've got so much lockdown. Will they be able to get back into the game, Storm?
Need to also, we're talking about 20 talent tiers here, Grubby, so let's continue this conversation because there was a nerf onto Invisible Friends. You are no longer permanently invisible until you revealed. You are only invisible for 9 seconds, so no more can people set up into the sidewall or the bush and just sit there invisible and then become permanently stealth. It's just 9 seconds. That's the entire window you have. But let's talk about the window that is this boss fight because we have a drag onto the Anubarak Staywall, and listen, Staywall. Oh my god, everything. BBJ was able to get the phase shift. Lauber was able to hit the rewind and unaverted, just shredding through. I mean, Grubby, you nailed this with the Greymane commentary.
Yeah, but it opened again with Pants. He really set that up, right? Like,
True.
What was Lauber doing there? He's hoping he can get the shift from Brightwing, but people aren't there. You're either going in as 5 or you're not. If you're going in as 5, you're going to check bushes or you're just going to burrow charge on the point. If you're not going in at 5, there's almost no reason to scout it unless somehow they weren't sure whether Simplicity is top or bot. An unfortunate moment, and he actually drags his friend down with him. Yeah. BBJ now also dead with a great isolation. Pants is actually just owning, man. Like, his Dahaka play is leaving very little room for dissent, very little room for mistakes. He's accurate, he's hitting them at the right times, and he's basically killing it here. And almost to a point where Storm will have trouble to come back at all. They do have many waves very pushed out. They're even technically ahead in standing structures, so this is definitely no eulogy. But Simplicity, I think they've got the tools to get very close to potentially ending the game off of the next 1 minute of proceedings.
It has just been all Simplicity, these latter game fights, and looking greater and greater. The other thing, too, to talk about when we look at talents is that level 7 for Deckard Cain, for anyone that might not have noticed, it is going to be the Emerald that was picked up. You have 75% healing reduction when you apply that Emerald to the Haraja Cube and obviously landed onto a hero. Brightwing's phase shift is so telegraphed that if you have this dive moment, and Legacy, who I assume is kind of waiting for that phase shift because Brightwing was showing in a lane just clearing, that it was just like, okay, here's the read. Anubrak's going to get that heal. I'll reduce that. And I feel like Anubrak got the phase shift. He got the shielding from Peekaboo. But that was all that he really got because of just that massive, massive healing reduction. Good play and good read from Simplicity, dissecting the draft of Storm Esports and just making it almost near impossible for Storm to find an advantage or even find a kill or a fight at this point.
Yeah, at this point, you have to open with Cocoon before you get drag-tongued. You can't get Isolation, which has a bit more range. And you need to have the good synergy. Brightwing is still split pushing, defending the Hogger camp. A really good job by Storm to stave off the Apocalypse by defending boss, not losing a keep, and not even losing the objective yet. That guillotine moment, it's not happening yet. Simplicity is unable to let loose and go for that coup de grace. Storm Esports is still defending here. Very good job. They don't have a lot of window, though. 14 seconds of the objective. It's getting really, really close. Brightwing still defending mid-keep. Is really eager not to jump the gun and help her friends already, which is therefore good that Storm didn't go too aggressively here.
Brightwing phase shift off cooldown. Dahaka brushstock as well. Deckard Cain throws a Haraja Cube over the wall to delay out Lauber's potential channel. There's the scroll of ceiling just in time as well. Lauber trying again to go for the channel. Doesn't seem like there are any more delay tools, so this will be Simplicity grabbing a mid lane camp, pre-tapping well. Pre-tapping well. Grubby, we're getting ready for this fight. What does pre-tapping a well mean?
Yeah, pre-tapping.
We'd say it a lot.
Nobody has any damage. Everyone had full mana. You literally use an ability to drop below full mana so you can use the well. And then you've got like, what, 16 seconds? Is it 16? Or
it's about like 16 or so seconds.
Of healing. So that if you take any damage at the start of the fight, you've got a bit of extra regen.
It's actually 20, Justing is correcting, but let's talk about good phase shift from Brightwing. Durance of Fate will come out. Stay Wellness and Sanctification mitigating a lot of incoming damage and setup, as that is going to be Brightwing dead. Blaze to fall as well. Bunker is just an old structure on the left-hand side, as Rutso is going to get shredded by this Greymane. Once again, it's Pants with a lot of the CC, Masquerade with the God tier Sanctification, Legacy with a nice Stay Well and Listen to slow things down, and it's Greymane, unaverted, who are just, I keep saying shredding, but 64,000 heroic damage. The closest on their team would be would actually be Tyrael with 39,000. And IBTing's trying to make the 1v1 against Pants, but it's not going to work out. I really got to give credit where it's due for unaverted, showcasing a very good Greymane.
Yeah, actually, Mena is second lowest in damage because his team is kicking so much behind, and he's less tanky, really. Sometimes tanky characters just end up dealing more damage over the course of a game because they're able to stay in there, take punishment, and deal punishment for such a long extended time. IBTing's never died as Ceratul. He's second in hero damage on his team. He did about as good as you can, I would say, trying to trying to play safe and not making any big mess ups. It was honestly really good Zeri to play. A lot of off laning. He had the most killing blows, good hero damage. But overall, though, when Storm turned on the pain train, it wasn't that impressive. No. And when Simplicity turned on the pain train, it was like 2 seconds, 2 people dead. Like insane. And probably my MVP would be, as impressive as Masquerade and Unaverted were, my MVP would be Pants.
I'd be an idiot not to agree with you, Grubby, because I think Pants was just everywhere and anywhere that he needed to be on this Dahaka. But we got Justin back with us, and let's get your thoughts on all of this. What'd you think of that Alterac Pass map?
Well, I agree with Grubby and both of you that I had written down that Pants was my MVP as well. He had just disgusting tongues that game. There was only that one time he got picked top, but it took 4 people to take him down, and even then he was able to buy some time to get kind of some macro pressure on the map. Simplicity, their early game was a little bit rough. They were playing to sort of just push bottom and just take the null camp as quick as they could. But against Storm, they were just really aggressive. They were able to get picks. They have the CC in their comp. But when Storm got picks, they got the first 2 objectives with them, and they weren't really able to push with them. Neither of them they got to push with. Simplicity would get the kills immediately after getting the objective for Storm, so they were kind of nullifying the objective to some extent. And then once it got to around level 16, it felt like Simplicity really just turned things on. They get their objective, they actually push with their first objective when they get it. Storm was unable to do that, but Simplicity was able to just send 4 people mid when they got their first objective and just brute force down structures while Dahaka split pushed. And it just felt like every time a team fight occurred, Lauber was just getting bullied by the Greymane, and he would get tongued and then immediately just one-shot by the Greymane Lunara. So really good coordination from the ranged on Simplicity with Mene and Unaverted on the Greymane. They played really well. Dahaka, Pants played phenomenally. There was that nearly really cool moment top lane where Simplicity just kind of forced the boss, and Brightwing stepped up and got tongued and started getting dragged into what looked like a boss stun. And I think she blinked out just in time, but that was almost a really cool play. Just another like a small thing like that basically just secured them that boss. And the main like turning point for the game, I would say, was the bot boss fight where Lauber got picked, and Legacy had a really good play there. You could tell that they actually slowed their damage on the Anubarak on Lauber. They waited for the Brightwing TP to finish with the stay a while and listen with the level 20 with the silence. So as soon as Brightwing TP's in, she's just dead because she's silenced, so she can't go anywhere. So really, really good play coming out between Legacy on the Deckard and Pants on the Dahaka. Just Simplicity played that really, really well in the second half of the game, just basically perfectly.
Pretty surgical. Yeah, there were a few flaws here and there, but those flaws, as you were mentioning, Justin, weren't really that big of a flaw, as you had said. The 4-person gank onto Dahaka, but I mean that was a lot of assets spent just to try and get a singular kill early game. And Grubby had mentioned early game experience. At that point, that kill yielded somewhere in the 300 to 600 range of experience, whereas these late game kills were yielding somewhere in the 3000s range of experience, or a little less than that, but still a lot more experience, a lot more value, and a lot more push pressure for the side of Simplicity, as we are ready to find out where we're going to head to for map number 2. Excited to see what we get here, as it is going to be the Storm Esports choice to either take first pick or map pick. As the losing side, they chose map pick, and they're going to choose Infernal Shrines, Grubby. Really quick stat for everyone at home. Once again, the stats are basically the same. Simplicity is 3-0 on this map, and Storm Esports, they're 2-0 on this map. So once again, one of these teams will find their first loss on Infernal Shrines, Grubby.
Yeah, so it might be not 100% like a stylistic choice of like we want to cheese now, or we want to macro because we think we're better. It's just like we've been doing well on this map, exactly. And let's play on it. Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's like when I play Storm League with my friends. Like we all have the maps where we're like, oh yeah, we're going to this map. We have a style that we play. Like Braxis Hilda, it's in the rotation for Storm League. We all know like. One of our friends, like, he's gonna play Rexar in solo lane. Like, he's like, oh, we're going to Braxis. I get to go, like, hang out in solo lane on Rexar. It's the same thing with, like, Dragonshire. So you play to your strengths. You play to the things that you know you can have fun with. And I think that it's also a big mental for them as well on the side of Simplicity. We had talked with Mene in the interview last week after they won. And he said, you know, I think we can do better. And maybe this is Simplicity rallying in the latter half of the season. They don't need to be dominant, but still being dominant is good for the team, Justin, right?
Yeah, it's important to be consistent, and Simplicity is a team that historically has ramped up as the season has progressed, so they're probably a little worried that you know, they don't want to peak out too early in the season because historically they really do sort of start slow and ramp up. So starting 5-0 is as good as it can get for a team. So they've got to make sure that they keep their egos in check and make sure that they, you know, stay focused. That when you're in that first place spot like that, it's a lot of pressure because you know that everyone's kind of watching you. Really excited to see that Rhaegar gets through the draft. He was first banned last game. We've got the Rhaegar changes on live, and he seems like a bit of a menace. So I'm curious to see how strong the Rhaegar can look, or if it kind of falters here.
I'm not a healer main by any means, but it was quick match. I did some totem builds, just pure only taking totems. I was actually getting kills with not Colossal Totem, with Earthgrass Totem at level 16 because it does actually add damage plus that 90% slow. It's really fun. It's really
crazy.
fun.
It has a lot of health, big radius. You can move it to keep up with someone. So like, let's say you're catching a Lunara with Thornwood Vines. She's getting massively slowed. She's running away. You're chasing. You're biting at her heels. And then you replace the totem to be in front of her again. It's pretty sick, right?
I love it. I mean, I'm really just excited to see what these CCL players will do with this. But Justin, I gotta get your thoughts because a lot is unfolding in the draft already.
Yeah, so I was kind of assuming that Simplicity was going to keep their draft sort of flexible with Rhaegar. Rhaegar should be a hero that can enable double support because he's a support that has a lot of wave clear, which is the main thing that supports are lacking. Them picking up Junkrat and Johanna makes me think that they're not going to be doing that. It would be a really awkward composition if they were to play a double support with what they have now. So Storm doesn't necessarily have to worry about that. Mephisto already banned out, so they're not going to have to ban that. They're not going to get that on the side of Storm Esports again for Rutzo. There's Lucio on this map. While BBJ is really good at it, I think it might be a little bit difficult to play on this map. There's not so much freedom as you have on other maps where you have a lot of corridors where you can kind of just run around. I don't know if that Provius ban is... I'm assuming it's real. I'm assuming it's not like trolling unless Simplicity is just that confident. Provius did get reworked. I mean, this is a good map to play it. Volskaya was a map where you could cheese with Provius in the past. So I guess maybe there's some scrim tech that I'm not familiar with here with the Provius being banned out. But Diablo being picked up, I really like a lot. Junkrat cannot kill Diablo. They basically need to pick Tychus, and that's been banned by Storm Esports. So Diablo into what the enemy has drafted for Simplicity is very scary.
I've been saying all week that I don't expect to see Probius. Please, Grubby, any thoughts?
Well, you won't, because it's going to get banned all the time.
Oh, so I was right. I was right. Yes.
By the way, 3 seasons of CCL, first Probius ban.
First Probius anything. Like
ban, pick. Even, like, we didn't even say the word. We actively avoided invoking his name in all of our commentaries, in all of our broadcasts. And there we are with the Probius ban. Wow. Is he actually good? I read the rework. I was like, it's buffs and it's nerfs. I think
it's hard because like I like someone in my channel was like, well, Cure was like destroying with it, and I was like, that's Cure. That's like that's you already have a factor that is already a massive exponent. So like you can't just say like, well, Cure's doing with it, so it's got to be meta. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Justin, we can talk more about Probius later, but let's talk about the draft because there's a lot that happened here.
Yeah, why Maiev into 2 tanks with Unstoppable? What do you think, Justin?
So I'm thinking that it's probably less about sort of that killing. I mean, I don't think the Umbral Bind is the absolute most crucial thing about Maiev, at least not now. The E talent, the percent damage that she gets is actually really good into tank. Same with the 16 talent. Maiev is actually kind of an anti-tank hero in general. And Johanna, while she does have the blind, it's a little annoying to play against. She doesn't necessarily threaten Maiev in the same way that most tanks do. Unless she goes Bless Shield, then it's pretty scary. But if she's Falling Sword, you're kind of... Everything she does is really predictable and really telegraphed. Same with Leoric. So I'm thinking that it's mostly just for the combo. I'm assuming that they're going to be looking to do kind of just like a heavy blow-up combo with the Diablo, likely with... I mean, I would assume it would be... You would think it would be Fire Breath with the Maiev Cage. That's just a really, really strong combo. You trap everyone in the Maiev Cage and then you breathe on them. But it is Lauber, and he does go APOC quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both or either one. Overall, I prefer Storm Esports comp. I think that killing tanks on the side of Simplicity is going to be very, very difficult. They do have Leoric, but I don't think that will be enough. So it'll come down to execution, but I'm slightly favoring Storm's comp.
I do like the Storm Esports composition. They've put together some really, really intricate and interesting things, but it's new Rhaegar. I love new Rhaegar. I think he's so insanely strong. We didn't talk much about Junkrat. He did have some changes, and we can talk about those talents as the game does get going, because the map is just about loaded up. And Justin, thank you for your analysis and your breakdown. We'll see you after Infernal Shrines, because here we are, ready to go. Map number 2. I'm actually going to be, as I said, calling for that Storm Simplicity win, but we'll talk about our expectations after we introduce these teams, because we have on the left-hand side Simplicity, Masquerade on the Joanna, Legacy on the Rhaegar, Mene on the Falstad, Pants on the Leoric, and Unaverted on the Junkrat. Over in the red, looking to put one up on the board, we've got Storm Esports, IB Tings on the Lunara, BBJ on the Lucio, Lauber on the Diablo, Dequaza on the Hogger, and Rutso to play the Maev. What do you think about all this, Grubby, as we get into our mid lane first matchup?
Yeah, my little birdies in chat are saying that apparently Rutso has been spamming Probius with some good effect in ladder. Interesting.
Let's see.
Johanna too, by the way, has received across-the-board buffs to all of her basic kit, with only nerfs to her level 20 Falling Sword. So I'm expecting to see a lot more Blessed Shield Johanna, classical, impervious Johanna, and I think she's really strong now.
Oh yeah, Blinded by the Light at level 20 synergizes extremely well with this level 1 pickup Zealous Glare. Zealous Glare was buffed as well to now deal 125% more damage with that Shield Glare. And also to note, the Iron Skin baseline was changed. It used to be 25-second cooldown baseline, now it's 22 seconds, but there was a change onto, I believe the level 7 is the talent, Hold Your Ground. That changed from a 5-second to a 2-second. So basically, with that Hold Your Ground, you're still going to reduce it down to 20 seconds, but with it now being 22, you might not need Hold Your Ground, and I believe there is a Shield Glare talent at 7 that you can take instead. Think.
Yeah, there. Well, Joanna has a blind talent at 1 and at 16 and at 20.
Okay.
And mostly just having 2 charges that both deal like 120 damage, and then later it's going to do like 250 damage. It's actually a legit finisher. First of all, it's a big range spell that now does significant damage. Better for wave clear, better for DPS. And I think the really big deal is just that bonus damage on it. With all the synergy that you get at 16 and 20, more storm shields, more healing for self. And usually I would expect Johanna to go for the Q talent at 4, 7, and 13, which does more damage, more slow, healing debuff. And I think the 13 got buffed to do even more damage than before. So she's actually a legit damage dealer now. You can easily see a Johanna gonna go like 40, 50, 60k hero damage in the course of a game.
I mean, I killed someone with Shield Glare in my own game, so yeah, obviously.
Yeah, first time ever, right?
Actually, I think so. It might have been. It might have been the first time ever. And because I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe I actually did that. But it's the same thing with the Colossal Totem as well. But right now, when we talk about Rhaegar talents, we're going to be seeing the Grounded Totem at level 1. But this is what we're going to be seeing at level 4, which this is the build I've been seeing in the games that I've casted at the higher tiers. This Earth Living Enchantment, when Chain Heal heals a hero below 50% health, they are healed for an additional 304 scaling health over 5 seconds. So a little bit more sustainability on this Rhaegar. We have our first objective phase up and available, and it's going to be in the top of the map. Frozen Punisher, one of the harder objective phases to enter into, but I feel like with the Junkrat, you've got a lot of really good control, as well as that Joanne on top of it.
Let's talk also about how good Earth Living Enchant is. We can all hear you're healed over 5 seconds, and you're below half-life, and you're healed for X amount. That sounds nice. You heal someone low, they get bonus healing over time. But how much is that actually, that 316? Baseline Q heals 329 on the first target. For whatever reason, there is like a 1% difference. But basically, it's double the healing. That is insane. First Blood, by the way, on Lauber. You're getting double the heal when you heal someone below half-life. And I know it's not bursty, but still, that is a large percentual increase.
Oh yeah. Almost doubling your healing output. I would absolutely take that. That is very, very strong. No purification at level 7. This is what I was just kind of staring at for a few seconds. We are going to be seeing the Colossal Totem at level 7 for this Rhaegar as well. So the purification at level 7 is just really cool because you can also deal damage. You can also reduce incoming healing. You also can get a 50% cooldown, or 40% cooldown actually. They nerfed that. 40% cooldown onto your Purge, which was actually moved from 30-second cooldown to 45-second cooldown. But it's just crazy to me. I want to back things up for a second because that first blood was absolutely nuts to me. And actually, if production can get it, can we take a look at that first blood again? Because it's crazy to me that Lobber is underneath his own towers and still dies. We have an objective phase that's more important to talk about. Oh my god!
Into the trap.
It perfectly played.
Concussive into the steel trap. To be fair, he would have died anyway, but still style points to unaverted with the perfect accuracy. They had a bit of a mind here, Storm Esports, to utilize that Frozen Punisher. Dequaza trying to make a solo play here. To utilize that Frozen Punisher to come in with the Diablo flank, with the Lucio skating under the fort. But sadly for them, it turned against them. Simplicity with the perfect defense here. And they do lose 70% of a fort, but they get the kills.
Kills are stacking up for the side of Simplicity as Rutso tries to back away. Will be able to do so. There's going to be a cleanse from Legacy, purge, if you will, from Legacy onto Masquerade. 45-second cooldown onto that. And as we skim through some talents, nothing crazy out of the ordinary. No sudden vengeance for the Maiev, so she's not going to be going for that percent-based damage. But Grubby, we've got that first blood replay, and can you break down to us how Lobber died here?
Yeah, let's check it out, because he was so close to the gate. Was it a misstep, or did Simplicity do something clever? Let's roll the replay and see what happened in that first blood. This isn't the first blood, is it?
No, it should be in a second or so. There we go. Now this is the first blood.
There we go. No, I think it's still a little whiles away.
Oh no, I thought. Okay, well,
let's go back to the present, and we'll see if we want to figure that out later.
Mene just got a massive ancestral healing. There will be the lightning breath from the Diablos. The Entomb does come out from Leoric. Lobber is pinned against a wall per se, but the Diablo does go down. Pants getting low. Wraith walks out. He's got a sliver of HP, 200 and something, and it's Maiev to fall as well. The camp will go over to Storm, but it's going to be Simplicity once again who are able to win out the fight. And I feel like that is the bigger win for the side of Simplicity, because we talk about scaling in experience. If we can show the Control 4 experience, it's 3,309 experience over to the side of Simplicity with these 5 kills. And the objective phases and camps, they really haven't kind of stacked up to this. Mercenaries are 1,000 to 1,578. Like, these heroic kills are really starting to push Simplicity, and I feel like these later kills will gain Simplicity that experience, that level lead that they want, because right now it's pretty equal. There's still waves to be had from both sides.
While expecting Blessed Shield, we actually got Falling Sword here, and that's going to allow all of the allies of Simplicity to walk out of the Warden's Cage, to walk out of Lightning Breath. Let's see how that plays out. BBJ playing a little aggressive here. Gotta make sure he doesn't get entombed. Entomb and Mighty Gust is a great tool of lockdown.
And the reason for this being, ladies and gentlemen, is because, well, if you get entombed and your team is around to try and help, the Gust will push away everyone, keep the person inside the entomb up against the wall, and that's when Falstad can throw in a Q, Junkrat can throw in consistent damage. And I'm actually, funny enough, with the Junkrat talents, I'm so far seeing exactly what I expected with the talent changes, because we are going to see that Sticky Wicket at level 7, since we had Big Az move to level 13. But here's the Entomb. Lobber's inside. Shadow charges through the Entomb because it's not a wall, but it is. And we do have Mene split pushing top.
So level 13 very close for Simplicity. They're going to want to turn on the pain train as they get it. But will there already be too many skeletons taken? Oh wow, Masquerade just stole 6 skeletons with the blinding glare. There's another nice little advantage of that bonus damage, and actually skulls have been equalized. Storm is losing grip of this objective. In comes a lightning breath. He's doing a lot of damage to Mene, but Mene gets away, and there is a falling sword, and there is lethal damage on Diablo. He does come back to life, but it will be too late for his allies. 31-35 in skeletons. Rutso is trying to do what he can over the wall. 39-36, and it goes to Simplicity. Ivy Tinks goes in for the kill, gets Rhaegar. The Umbral Bind brings Leoric closer. A mixed blessing. Ivy Tinks gets another kill on Pants, but he will fall himself as well, as there's another one-on-one in the bush there, and Hogger goes down.
I was trying to watch every of the fights there, because I feel like we had 3 separate fights with a Punisher pushing the lane all at the same time. Umbral Bind pulls Unaverted back in.
Ooh.
He will fall. And there's those chattering teeth with the sticky wicket, the big as. Oh, it's going to be so annoying to deal with, Grubby.
Yeah, getting silent like that means that, unlike before, if you get trapped by Junkrat, you cannot just turn on Lightning Breath to cleanse future CC effects. This actually even prevents heroes like Johanna from turning on Iron Skin, whereas before she could get rooted and then Iron Skin. With the sticky wicket, she has to do it before she moves into the trap.
And this actually, before we had Big Az with the priority onto heroes, this kind of was the 4 and 7 pickups in the past, the Chattering Teeth with the sticky wicket, because of that silence as mentioned. I mean, a root plus a silence, that's pretty good when it comes to a team fight. Now it prioritizes only heroes, and Big Az, we don't talk about this very often. We always talk about how it prioritizes heroes. We also don't talk about how it reduces armor by 15 for 3 seconds. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so what does he give up? Just a second trap?
Yeah, gotta trap them all is at 13, and then I think there's there's the concussion mine distance increase talent at 13, which I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
So in a way, Junkrat is buffed.
Yes.
You just don't have 2 traps anymore. But now, in addition to everything it did, you're also silenced.
And that's why, like, when I read the patch notes, I was like, "This is a buff to Junkrat." Like, you give away having 2 traps, but you now have a silencing, prioritizing, hero armor reducing. It's just like, oh my god, it's like Tahaka's Lurker Strain. It does too many things. But right now, the fight does break out around this mid lane area. A little bit of push pressure between Masquerade and Lauber. Retzo looking for a number bind, does pop the Warden's Cage. We have an Ancestor healing onto Unaverted Lightning Breath from the Diablo. There's an Attune from this Leoric, but Masquerade, Pants, they're fine. They actually continue the team fight a little bit here. Here comes a Riptire from Junkrat. Zones back the enemy. Lauber takes a bit of damage from that. Heals up from his Fire Stomp. Also does have his Soul Shield. I think we did hear that proc there for a second. But all to be said was a lot of heroics from the side of Simplicity. Only 1, not 2, used by the side of Storm Esports.
We have, let's compare healing numbers. Lucio, 33,000. Rehgar, 44,000. So he's got about 25% more. 33% more in healing, so respectable. Hero damage, 7.5. Lucio, 9.5. So Lucio's got more damage. And then siege damage. Lucio actually has more siege damage than Rehgar. That's different. So it's a very safe playing Rehgar, not just constantly taking camps, taking minions, and whatnot. And let's look at that totem effect as well. He's got the full totem build. It's now going to deal damage when cast. It's going to be a near root. It is going to cast chain heals to nearby ally heroes. It is bigger. It has more health, the totem. It has a longer duration. It can be recast to a new location. It reduces attack speed by 40% and spell power by 20%. And it can be cast from farther away. That is the utility that Rehgar has overloaded his totem with. And then he's coupled that up with Ancestral Healing. Curious what level 20 we're going to get, Bahamut.
Farseer's Blessing is what I've seen, but we could see Pitfire Fighter for the spell power increase, as well as some cooldown reduction ability. The other thing to note really, really quickly with all of this totem stuff, there is that recast, as we've been talking about, from Grounded Totem at level 1. But for anyone that doesn't know, Earthgrass Totem, the way that it specifies the damage and the slow, it's the first cast. So when you recast the totem again with the level 1, you're not getting double Earthgrass Totem. You don't deal the damage, you just get the baseline totem value. And some of that Wellspring stuff as well. But just for anyone wondering, like, it's not a double 90% slow. That'd be absolutely broken if it was. And Lauber does finish out his souls, getting some pre-pressure into the top lane as Hogger will be able to get the objective. But meanwhile, in bottom lane, Mene's doing Mene things, Grubby, and Mene should find a keep for his team in a lane where they still have a fort. That's a pretty good value for this Falstad, so long as Storm Esports doesn't end here. That's the kind of caveat to all this is, unless Storm Esports ends, then it's kind of, oh, okay, well, whatever.
Exactly, and they need 2 kills, I would say, to end.
Yes.
One probably not enough, as the whole team is here to defend its equal talents. The fort is very softened up. Janna pulls it in. They're going to try to pull it to the mid fort, where it can be taken care of with the aid of mid towers and mid keep. Super, super helpful move. It's going to jump in about 6 seconds again or so. We're looking at 4, we're looking at 2. There we go on Falstad. Will there be a follow-up play? Ratso trying to get the Ghost to catch. Nice Ancestral Healing by Legacy on Masquerade, who now survives because of it. Ratso dropping real low, trap in hot pursuit. Storm needs to get out of here right now. And Simplicity considering, do we want to chase, do we not? Do we just play for 20? And it looks like they will just chillax.
I might be overlooking at this or overanalyzing, but if this went the way that it did, it's actually kind of crazy. Unaverted used Riptire, and then I feel like Unaverted held the Riptire not to deal damage or zone the enemy team, but it was for when the Punisher jumps, because there was a Punisher jump onto Falstad. The cleanse came through, the purge from Legacy was there, but the dive was still happening from Storm Esports onto Falstad. The Riptire pushes back Storm Esports, and no kill on Demene was found. Maybe I'm overlooking at this, but it seemed like a super, super good play and read from the side of Simplicity to keep this Falstad safe and continue to defend. They only lose a top lane keep in top lane from the side of Simplicity.
Yeah, meanwhile, they've got 2 catapults on core. It's not quite advanced enough yet for that to be a problem, and Storm Esports can safely ignore it. Top lane is in the advantage of Storm. It's actually a super even game with equal amounts of forts, equal amount of core pressure, just a bit more higher level for Simplicity. And they're going to get their level 20s earlier. And I would say you would, as Simplicity, you would love to push out mid-fort if you can with that advantage. The window isn't big, though. Perhaps too small.
Do you, when the next objective phase spawns, do you want to try and jump into Simplicity comms to hear how they're getting along?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Okay,
we need to hear from them.
I need to, because I was like, man, I want to hear how they're communicating with this Rhaegar. It is going to be the Farseer's Blessing at level 20, so you have the double cast of Ancestral Healing with the splash around as well. So I've actually seen this really, really useful in some games as well, where basically a hero has 2 health bars and lives because of that second health bar, and so much damage is dumped into that one hero to try and get the kill, and that second Ancestral comes third. It's like, oh, we've been spending all this time trying to get a kill on a hero that our backline's dying or something like that, but good read from Pants to be able to Wraithwalk away before the Shadow Charge connects into the wall.
Yeah, everyone upgraded their ult here for Simplicity except Junkrat. We've got a nasty combo of Buried Alive, Mighty Gust. There's actually a tiny point of where, as we pause and we have a bit of lag and we'll try to get back into it, appreciate your patience, there's a small downside to Leoric's level 20 pick, Bahamut. He's got Buried Alive, but Entomb lasts 1 second less. So when you Entomb Gust combo, everyone that doesn't have a teleportation is going to get perma-CC'd inside the tomb anyway. So then you would rather have a 4-second tomb than a 3-second tomb that's also a silence and a tiny amount of damage. And he's already got the Drain Life build that he could have gone Burning Despair and it could have been real sweet. But now, instead of having to use those 2 together, if Gust is forced to be used for defense earlier, then you do have that utility for Buried Alive. It can prevent Lunara from Leaping Striking out. It can prevent a High Five from proccing. It can prevent Hogger from Hog Wilding out and Mayef from teleporting out. So it's safer this way.
As well as Diablo Shadow Charging, or you can use Hellgate because he did go for that at level 20. I think there's a world where we see these, they're not used in the way that we expect them to be used. I feel like Mene is going to look for that Gust up against a wall for the 4-second duration, and then the Entomb comes out, or vice versa. You know, it's one then the other. I think this is going to be a layered heroic play, but we are going to be readied back into the game, so we can get you back into this Infernal Shrines map number 2. It's exciting to see. I think the next fight will be telling. And here's that shrine announcement. Do you want to get into Simplicity comms now, right away?
Perfect timing.
Into Simplicity we will head.
I think we let it go. Yeah, we let it go. If it gets
get that cat out, Fancy.
Yeah, kill that cat and then come. We just get position on shrine. If they beat him here, then we can get the first part.
Get pose.
Play around bot side. We have wave prayer out on here.
Can do now. Wisp is there. He's dead. Pulling.
Diablo under.
Here now.
They're playing from bot
I think
side.
it's in that push.
Yeah. Keep. I want to play bot side.
Oh, there's Wisp. Good. I'm playing fast cards now.
Yeah,
Diablo
out. Crushing me out.
Careful, Legacy.
Yeah, I'm just
spinning.
Rough 5. I want to play bot wave, and then
I can maybe find
team
someone.
Diablo here, maybe. I have a slow on him.
Now, maybe? Hey, go.
Him. I can't hit him.
Are you picked out? I'm dead probably.
10 second on Hugger ult.
Go, he's on.
Yeah. It's fine.
Good chill
I
out.
need help.
Okay. Yeah, we're chilling.
10 more.
Group.
Let's go.
You
Trying
want
and
me to
then
defend core or
one
not?
back. Yeah, go ahead.
I
Go,
can-
go now.
Yeah,
We got it.
Go.
Okay. They see me recording.
Don't clear these waves. Let it go slow.
You have fly, right?
Yes. I wouldn't.
Oh, guys going.
Hugger?
I'm on him. Oh, Ivy. I can footing.
Yeah.
I'm flying.
Nice.
Oh,
I'm in the shit actually maybe.
Okay.
Big damage on Diablo. Team 3.
Diablo.
Team 1 backline. I got
I'm
two.
I'm footing.
Hugger's one.
My head's one. My
Just
head's
in
one.
3. Just in 3.
I haven't slowed him.
No, not too deep.
That's a good trade.
I think
It's
it's
fine.
hitting core. If
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm tapping in, coming back.
I cancel Diablo here.
Oh. We play for that.
I mean,
Whatever. He has
just
souls, but yeah, go ahead.
it's just
Can we end-so? It's 4v4, no souls.
I'm coming,
think we
car
can.
is open.
Let's look for it.
Okay.
Stay
Alright, go.
grouped. Stay grouped and I will...
I'm low
Okay.
mana.
it's
Wait
dead
for kills.
already.
Wait for kills, I think.
We do have Entomb 12.
Diablo, maybe? Just poke.
Let's play over here.
Wait for Entomb.
It's not good.
Okay, we back up then.
Okay.
Yeah, we just leave.
Alright. That's fine.
You have top off spawn, right? We
Can
versus.
do their easies fast.
A lot of very good options that were being communicated. I like the simplicity comms. I never felt like there was too much chaos. I understood exactly what they were shot calling and communicating to each other.
Yeah, and we hear all the inner thoughts and the decisions and even things that don't work out exactly. But like you said, it was clean. It wasn't oversaturated with any megalomaniacal monologue, let's say. It was good. And anytime I feel critical of like, wow, that move didn't pan out, or like they had an idea and it didn't work, I'm like, wow, what if I commentated all of the one-on-one RTS thoughts that I ever had, things that worked out, things that didn't? Because you're allowed to make mistakes or look for a coral in and then see how it goes. That's a big falling sword. They blow up Diablo. Turns out that mighty gust from Mena to cancel Diablo was in fact useful, because now he doesn't have those souls anymore. It still works out. They didn't get the core. They got 9%. They got Diablo to have no souls. And now they can ride that momentum. Every kill's still worth it. And Simplicity doing great here.
There was that attempt onto Diablo in the bottom lane while we were in the comms, and there was a great Entomb. There was a very good gust into the wall, but there was so much just pressure being applied that no one on the side of Simplicity could step up. There, as we just saw in the mid lane push, that was what Simplicity wanted. They wanted that gust to kind of split the enemy, the Entomb, the Buried Alive, to just lock in the Diablo so you can't push any buttons besides auto attack, and it's really, really well played from Simplicity in the latter half of this game. And I'm just curious, I'm going to look at some of the stats really quickly. I want to look at the Rhaegar healing with Control 5. His healing is 103,000, the Lucio healing 101,000, rounding up and down on all of those numbers, but it's still really good healing from Rhaegar. He's keeping up with, a BBJ Lucio. I mean, it is also Legacy. And the one thing I also want to point out, Grubby, what I love from Legacy is he did the self-ancestral, but he also called the group up before he even self-casted. So everyone knew. They saw the first splash, the second splash, and it was kind of like tapping well before going into a fight. Like, I think that was so well played from Legacy.
Yeah, nice to kind of remind your team. Even what Masquerade said as well, remember to group, because the natural instinct for these pros is to split so you don't take too much splash damage.
Exactly.
And Rhaegar,
like a Lunara.
Johanna, yeah, they kind of remove that need and expectation. So this should still be an advantage for Storm here. It keeps still the same, 1/4 lead for Simplicity, but we've got a fountain here for Storm, and because of the new Moonwell changes, the fountain, they're invulnerable till the fort falls, just like in ARAM. And because of this, it is not easily sniped here by Simplicity in a pre-push. Diablo takes so much damage, he gets gusted away. His team, he gets absolutely CC'd to smithereens, did not get to play the game. Silenced, in comes Tequaza, but the ancestral healing is there on Falstad, not once, but twice. Mena saved, absolutely huge. Rhaegar plays there on Mena as Storm was going for the return kill. Diablo just got bullied with a Mighty Gust and Tomb play. no counterplay was possible.
Good damage, good blow up, and good plays from Simplicity as they will move on to this Arcane Punisher Shrine. Now, a lot has to be gained for the side of Simplicity, and I love this call right here. Junkrat and Leoric have a lot of good splash damage and Shrine clear, so why not take Rhaegar, Falstad, Joanna, and just push up? Rhaegar actually has decent siege with all of the Lightning Bond. Mene, of course, on Falstad, it's a Falstad, and Joanna just here anchoring, doing a little extra damage as well. I love this pre-pressure from the side of Simplicity to just already have this Punisher advancing towards a keep front gate rather than just, onto the fort. Very proactive play from Simplicity's side.
And Storm is just waiting for Diablo to come back. Hopefully he'll be able to do some kind of initiation or maybe hit Lightning Breath before he gets entombed. They've set up the way that if they survive this with keep nearly a guaranteed loss as Lucio, oh no, Lucio gets Immortal stunned. Oh, BBJ with the blunder. He's the one that pulls the Punisher, does not get to pre-high five himself, high five anyone else. Definitely some unlucky moments here for Storm. He's the only one that can't be saved by him. And now I don't think those Khazra Impaler camps on the rest of the map matter. Meta goes in with the perfect hammerang into Lunara.
There's a Hellgate forward from Lauber trying to get some sort of counter kill, but the Punisher's still very healthy. Ancestral Healing, Farseer's Blessing coming through, and it's going to be a pentakill, a team wipe for the side of Simplicity. Storm Esports will fall, and Simplicity will be able to take game number 2 on Infernal Shrines. They go in the advantage slot, and I do want to point out one thing here. Simplicity, they are looking insanely good today. Like, I was like, towards the end, I was like, oh, Pants is the MVP. And I was like, well, Mene's Gusts are kind of MVP because the Gusts are actually just to the side of every single Entomb, but the Entomb placement's really good. And then I look at Legacy with his Rhaegar, and I'm like, holy crap, you have 144,000 healing over the Lucio 108,000. Like, I don't know who the MVP is. Maybe it's the whole team of Simplicity.
Johanna? Look at the damage of Johanna. Can we see that again?
Exactly,
Talents,
nearly 71,000.
Are cool, but he's got 70,000 damage second. He's got
third highest heroic damage overall in the game.
He's got more than Hogger, more than double the amount of Maiev. He's got more than Maiev and Diablo together almost. Like, this is insane. Johanna, 7 kills as well. Like, and he didn't jump into a vehicle. This isn't like, oh yeah, he was in the Garden Terror, he was in the Dragon Knight. No, this is 71,000 damage. I think Johanna, pretty good.
Pretty good. We got to get you back into the mix here, Justing. Was it a whole team Simplicity MVP for you as well?
I had to choose one, so I chose Legacy, mainly for the level 20 ancestral value. That was really cool. There was that fight on the bottom shrine that was really important. Either team winning that could have been really just game ending for the other team. So getting that, the big AoE heal from the level 20, the double ancestral was really cool. Then the last one he had top.
Yeah.
That basically won them the game. They would have been in a very bad situation had that fight gone awry. They probably would have just lost the game had that ancestral not hit. So, and they got the double ancestral value as well. So slightly giving Legacy the MVP in that game. Haven't really seen the new Rhaegar at all, so being able to see it played really well was nice to see. That was fun to watch. And Simplicity kind of had a similar sort of flow to the game as the previous one, where their early game didn't feel super oppressive. They definitely had a better early game this game for Simplicity than the last one. Storm didn't really feel like they were able to get much at all early game in this game. But it really felt like once they got into the later game, Simplicity was really able to start just hard pushing advantages. It felt like they were mostly playing to counter engage up until that level 20. So pretty much every fight until 20, Simplicity would just sort of counter engage with the Gust and the Entomb. And then at level 20, they started playing super offensively. And pretty much anytime Lauber was on the screen, he was getting silence entombed. Mene was gusting the rest of the team away. And they were just deleting Lauber. Lauber was getting very bullied this game, which on paper shouldn't really happen against the side of Simplicity. They don't really have much tank killing stuff. They have Leoric, who did go that Drain build. But other than that, they don't really have any percent damage for Diablo. So Storm Esports just felt really disjointed. And once again, this is a composition from Storm where they need to be extremely coordinated and they need to be all on the same page. And it just feels like this type of wombo combo style composition that relies so heavily on hitting those big combos between the Maiev Cage and the Diablo Breath and the Hogger. It doesn't feel like that sort of synergy is there. It feels like they're much more in their element when they're in this Death Ball composition where they're really sustainy and they can all kind of play a bunch of 1v1s. And it just felt like Storm did not have the coordination at all, and Simplicity felt like a perfect, well-oiled machine. Simplicity at level 20 really popped off. The Entomb with the Gust, with the Falling Sword to give everyone unstoppable just on top of it, while they all stack on the Entomb was really, really cool. They played their late game fights nearly perfectly. Simplicity's macro was really good. Mene was doing that one thing like he does, where he kind of just split pushes and runs it down a lane. Even on Infernal Shrines, he was able to do that, so really impressive play from Mene and the rest of Simplicity. They just look like by far the better team so far in this series.
Simplicity looking like a very, very, as you said, well-oiled machine, and they are hitting 5th gear. They are really just punching it down the course, and this is looking good for them, but it's not over just yet. This is a best-of-5 series, and Storm Esports could rally and start to take some maps back, potentially reverse sweep. It's definitely possible here on HeroesCCL. We are going to take a little bit of a break and get ready for the map number 3. When we come back, we'll find out if Simplicity can 3-0, or if Storm Esports will be able to rally, as I was mentioning. In this small break, I encourage you to hit ! prize pool to check out the Matcherino. And if you'd like to donate towards the Matcherino, we very much do appreciate it. Because of your support, we've hit $8,720. We're very close to $9,000. If we can hit that today, that'd be really, really awesome for HeroesCCL. But as I mentioned, we're going to take that short little break. When we come back, Simplicity versus Storm Esports. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Looking like our Season 1 and Season 2 champions still here in Season 3, as they have had a dominant series thus far up against Storm Esports. But we could go to a map number 3 that could yield a little different result, and I believe we got that map number 3 ready to go for all of you at home, so we can start diving into this next map. And it could very well be the final map in this series, because as I said, Grubby, Simplicity, who will choose to take us to Volskaya Foundry, have looked so insanely strong. And as always, I like to give a little bit of some stats for everyone at home, because people like some map stats from time to time. Simplicity is lossless on this map, 4-0, and the members of Storm Esports have only played this map once and they have lost it. But gotta get your thoughts, Grubby, as we are getting ready for this Volskaya Foundry map.
Yeah, it's a slower map. The objective is a little weaker in scaling up. It's typically the 3rd that can get serious results, though not guaranteed, depending on the draft. And the 4th one that starts to really become dangerous, where we suddenly have this switch in mindset, like, oh yeah, it can actually kick behind and do pretty good and kill cores. On this map, you typically have an arms race of people trying to get the mini objectives, the mercenary camps that offer turret camps and that offer a little bit of siege pressure through the top, as well as the very important healing token, the biotic emitter in the north side of the map. These things are saved up as an arms race and will then be used at any fight deemed important enough to decide some structural kills.
We're seeing some bans come through here, but I actually want to get your thoughts, Justin, on what could potentially be the play from these teams when it comes to the Triglav Protector phase, as the wells are no longer destructible. They go down when the fort goes down, as Grubby had mentioned in the previous map, like ARAMs. Do you think this changes any sort of priority play with the Triglav, or even just rotations, or how we look at the map?
If anything, I think it probably kind of helps the way that Simplicity was playing the map last week.
Okay.
Where they sort of just put all of their pressure in top lane, and a lot of teams have been banking on playing through bottom and playing for that 3rd objective, whereas last week Simplicity played a very long game and they drew out the game to play for that 4th objective, or the 5th objective, where it's back top.
Yeah.
So I think that might be something that they like to do again. I do like that Storm Esports banned away the Falstad, because Mene does like to split push quite a bit on this map, and leaving him with what we would expect to be the Zagara, which is it's just much worse than Falstad. Falstad just provides a lot more to the team. So it's a good ban on Falstad. Johanna priority going up since the patch makes sense. And Rhaegar ban, first ban for Simplicity. They've also obviously done some draft prep, and they deem Rhaegar so OP that they have to first ban it when they are not first pick, because they did first pick it last game when they were first pick. So it's interesting to see that Rhaegar is already that high priority. And that Johanna priority is going up as well. And the Johanna's not too surprising, but the Rhaegar, I'd say, is. They looked really good in the last game.
Stukov to be banned out once again. Man, those big nerfs onto Stukov really hurt him a ton, Grubby, right? 15 HP, 0.03 regen. He's third ban slot now. Wow.
Yeah, not even getting picked in first 5. How Stukov has fallen from grace and less prioritized than Rhaegar. Interesting indeed. It shouldn't matter a lot, those health changes.
No.
Perhaps this is an overreaction or there's something else at play.
Oh, what's at play is a pretty good draft, and also got to get your thoughts, Grubby. What are you thinking just about either side's draft?
Janna, a couple of years ago, used to be the main counter to Tychus with that blind, before Mei even came out. And now she's picked, one, because she's really strong. She's maybe her numbers are very high right now in terms of just raw damage, healing, survivability, and so on. And then she's also picked up together with that Tychus. So, legit? Yes! Probius is on the field.
This is the map. This is the map where Tempo Storm had their Nazebo Probius comp that they played on Volskaya. It didn't look so great back then. We'll see if Rutzo can make it look a little bit better now. This is Probius's best map if you were to call for one. Playing on the objective, playing on the big square where you got to fight is what Probius likes. The objective is very telegraphed, and you kind of have time to play around it. There's the Zagara for Mene that was expected. I think what Simplicity did with their third ban was actually pretty clever. They picked the Lunara, who has the cleanse, the secondary cleanse, not on the support, and then they banned away the Stukov, who has Super Strain, and picked the Brightwing, which kind of makes it really predictable that they're going to take the Deckard, but they're taking Deckard without Lunara, so they're not going to have a cleanse, so they are able to go into this one-shot with Masquerade taking the Varian. I think that it's a really clever kind of just draft from Simplicity that was played by them in the draft. Getting Mene Zagara is a little weird, but that's sort of just what he does on this map. We've come to expect that by now, that he's going to be looking to split push quite a bit. The big factor, the big kind of curveball is the Probius. We'll have to see how that performs. I'm really excited to see Probius. Yeah, he literally is the curveball. So we'll see how that works out for them. I'm heavily favoring Simplicity just because they look like such a dominant team, but who knows? Maybe Rutzo can bring out the Probius factor, and that can be what wins them the game here for Storm Esports and starts the reverse sweep.
I'm nervous for Storm Esports. This feels like a big gamble, but we'll see if it pays off. We actually could have some ZVP or some ZVT moments on this map. But either way, let's talk about what's going to be happening here, because we do have our map loaded in. Justin, thank you for your analysis and your breakdown as we are here into Volskaya Foundry. Map number 3 in our first best of 5 of the day, and we have Simplicity, who are looking to close things out in a quick 3-0 in the blue. Legacy on the Brightwing, Mene on the Zagara, Pants on the Leoric, Unaverted on the Lunara, and Masquerade to play the Varian. Over in the red, we're looking at Storm Esports. They're trying to rally with the first ever Probius in HeroesCCL history, played by Rutzo, Lauber on the Joanna, Dequaz on the Blaze, BBJ on the Deckard Cain, and Tychus to be played by Ivy Tings. I mean, I don't know, Grubby. Like,
we don't need to say anything. We just need to look at the top portraits, all 10 of those top beautiful portraits, and notice which one is just a bit too close for comfort. Which one is getting up in your grills?
Oh, just hey, how's it going? You got any pylons?
Cable guy.
I will call for a Simplicity win. I like the Mene diff per se, or the Mene Zagara. It's something that I've come to very much respect. I think he's got a lot of good macro. I think Simplicity has a good game plan to execute here with the Varian, the Brightwing, the Lunara. The Leoric was good in the last game, so I'm leaning into them. But what do you think about all this, Grubby? Because I do want to get your thoughts before we really start to get into the nitty-gritty of Volskaya Foundry.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Storm here. I mean, they've got Probius. Rutzo's been practicing it. His powers are unlimited and unknown. I can't bet against the Probius here.
That's fair. I know I might get an angry message from a friend of mine that very much likes Probius, but you know what? I will take that flame as I do. It's the Mene Zagara. It's just been good on the past, and I trust it quite a bit. What are we gonna do though when it comes to team fights? Like, what is your expectation for control point A? I feel like Storm can control pretty well, but Simplicity I feel like can slowly poke down Storm, maybe burn through BBJ's mana, and that's the way to victory.
Yeah, Deckard's mana pool is not good at level 1 usually, especially in Storm League, where people think that the potions are like a free crate of energy drinks that got delivered for promotional purposes. Like, no, these are limited. They are bought for with mana, and yeah, not gonna work out so easily. Deckard can help with his mana pool at level 1 if you take some spell power talent from the triangle, but you can't give up Sapphire in competitive, or for the most part in general. It's just so good. So his mana pool is better later on than earlier on. They could try to burn through it in that manner, like you described. I could also see Simplicity saying, you know what, that first Punisher, overrated. We'll push with Mene in the top lane, Leoric in the bottom lane.
I do like that idea as well. Just it's kind of like what we've seen during the first objective phase on Infernal Shrines. People give up the first Punisher. Maybe they poke into the shrine a little bit to slow down the objective. They split push in other lanes to try and find a little bit of initial siege or baby siege, if you will, and then you jump back into the lane, defend as 5, and then split off and maybe lose your fort front gate. So that could be the possibility here for the side of Simplicity. I think Storm Esports, they're very invested because they've got so much control and so much control points set up with the Deckard Cain, the Blaze with some oil slicks, Joanna with just her overall just presence in general.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see if Simplicity will try to compete this point. Pants there cleverly gets away from the fired up minigun. No, Probius! No!
First blood.
Nice. He had that 40 spell armor from Photon Barrier, but only when a Photon Cannon is alive and powered. Which brings us to the next point. Probius did get that rework. Like, this isn't coming out of the blue entirely.
Yeah.
Probius's Photon Cannons now always fire, but it's only when they're empowered by a pylon that they do more, like more DPS, and apparently his talent gives him spell armor only under those circumstances. But he's not as conditional as he once was.
It's also, if your Photon Cannon is by one of the pylon power fields, you do have attack speed, which is baseline on this, as well as you have the True Sight, the vision.
Right.
Which you used to get from the gather minerals at level 1, I believe. Now that's baseline on it. So little things right there. Basically, the big takeaway, destroy the pylon. Destroy the pylon and the Photon Cannon as much as you can, because those are priorities. You know what, I will say this, like, I said on my stream that I was like, I don't think Probius is viable in CCL. Maybe in Storm League he would be. Like, that's my case I've been making. But the biggest case that I'd actually like to make is I feel like it would be so much better if Worker Rush, which is a 30-second cooldown, that's the Z for Probius, if only that wasn't interrupted by damage. Like Vikings. Like, imagine if Vikings, if they took damage, go, stops the running. Like, I feel like, and because it's a 30-second cooldown, it feels so punitive on the Probius. I feel like if they buff that, where the damage didn't, like, stop his movement speed, and maybe they lessen the movement speed, that would feel a lot better. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on the changes that we got. Because there were a lot of good changes, but I feel like there was a couple missed opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, none of them work that way. Sergeant Hammer gets to hightail it if she wants to. Lunara gets the Galloping Gate when she wants to. Only Probius is like, you can't get interrupted. And it has no basis in StarCraft either. It's not like workers, when they get attacked, they get slower in StarCraft. So it's interesting. Pyromania Blaze is going to defend the point there against Masquerade. So far, 1 kill to Simplicity, but it feels the best Storm has felt so far. Is it that hidden power of Probius now unlocked? We're going to see Pylon overcharge.
Yeah.
Most Probius mains go with the Null Gate ability. At level 20, you can actually get a non-alert triggered core damage. Like, you can put a Null Gate permanently on the enemy core and just win the game like that. And people tend to not notice sometimes. There's the first blood for Storm Esports. And Tomb there coming in to peel. Pants has been playing incredible. And now with the save on Varian.
Good, just disengaged, not even utilizing the Wraithwalk. It might have actually been on cooldown. Actually, it wasn't on cooldown, I don't believe. So he just Pants was like, I'm going to save my abilities, and I know I'll be safe right now. But here comes a Jet Propulsion in from Blaze. A lot of splash damage in the backline onto Legacy, who does have to back away. Meanwhile, Mene in the top lane on that Zagara continues to press up. We do have a Masquerade taunt from the rotation into mid. Another jump propulsion connects onto Pants. Phase shift in from the Brightwing. No Haraja Cube to reduce any sort of healing. Wraithwalk. Pants considered doing the... Actually, I don't know why he doubled back for a sec. They don't have 13. Yeah. So it was like, I was like, oh, he's going to reduce the damage. I'm like, it's level 11, so, huh.
Maybe he went through the same thinking.
He's like, I already got the talent. I'm going to do the thing. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah. I will say this. There is a little bit of reason to that, because he has been playing. He played Leorg in the last game, and so it's like that when you go into Storm League and it's like you're just spamming the same hero. Like if I keep playing a Nubrak, I'm like, oh, I already have my Leeching Scarabs. I'm like, no, I don't. It's level 4. Anyways, let's take a look at that, a little bit of a replay here, Grubby, and break down for the audience at home what happened in that little entombment moment.
Yeah, look, we have the fight win here by Simplicity. They tried to get the Varian. Vance just comes up nicely, denies access. Masquerade can mount up and leave. Cool little moves like that show the creativity of an ability like Entomb that extends far beyond just entombing someone and trying to kill that target. Meanwhile, in Zagara Town, it's also Probius Town, as Mene is pushing in and Ratso is defending. Just kind of looking at that, seeing what Zagara is doing, getting a bit of damage on the fort, and it's really just, let's play around this style again. You know what time it is when Mene picks Zagara. It's going to be like that. And Simplicity is going to not expect 5-on-5s when Mene is Zagara.
There's a dive onto this Blaze as the bunker does come down. The Entomb will be utilized. Masquerade was trying to look to charge in. This is a fight down 13 talent here, and it doesn't look like Simplicity scared by any means whatsoever as the Commandeer Odin does come down, dumping in some damage. Zagara has rotated in as well. Probius still showing in top lane. Banelings will not connect. Falling Sword does come out from the Joanna Lubber trying to save Dequaza. There's a Devouring Maw. The Devouring Maw actually should devour this Blaze. That is going to be no... Okay, yeah, it is going to be. Okay. What I wanted to point out, because we're seeing it right here, is the Lornado. We didn't talk about this whatsoever. Usually it's stay while and listen from a Decker Kane player, but in that Entomb replay that we highlighted, it was also the Decker Kane Lornado that was actually pulling that unit of Simplicity in for that kill. So good utilization, good angling on these Lornados, but right now with the double kill to the side of Simplicity, it is looking great for a bottom lane fort to go down. Simplicity trying to set up for a potential win through bottom lane.
Yeah, and the control point C, the third objective, will indeed be spawning close to this now gaping hole of a crater of where Storm Esports' fort used to be. There it is, kaboom. And yeah, I think Lornado, I think we're seeing a little bit of maybe we're down 0-2, let's have fun, let's pick Probius because we've been practicing it, but also we think it's good. Mm-hmm. I think we're seeing Lornado under that same vein potentially, but it's also very possible that it is entirely within the vein of this Lornado through an Entomb will be a direct counter to whoever is standing in front or trying to funnel in front of the Entomb and trying to push them out there. Though, you know, staying while and listen would do the same thing. So it really makes you wonder. Maybe he thinks the level 20 Lornado is just that good. Here you see Johanna trying to use Falling Sword to save Dequaza, but it was mostly lethal points of damage at that point, not CC in particular. So level 20 Falling Sword may have done it. Lornado, it's really most crazy at level 20, isn't it, Bahamut?
More Nados. More and more Lornados do come out. You have cooldown reduction when you hit enemies with said Lornado, so you can spawn multiple Nados on the map. We also could see the Bottomless Flask as well. I personally, if I ever play Decker Kane, and this is also in ladder, so it's a little different, but if I take Super Healing Potion at level 13, I usually look to go for that Bottomless Flask at 20, because if I die, at least there are still those flasks that respawn, and my teammates can try and get some healing. Because like if you're setting it for control point C, you can throw a bunch of potions around, and then those will respawn if BBJ is dove. So there's a lot of options at 20. We also could see perfect gems as well for the cooldown reduction onto the Sapphire and the Emerald Haraja Cube application. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities at level 20 for BBJ. We'll see what he does at said level 20. But speaking of things that are happening, can we take a peek into bottom lane right now? Because right now it's just siege after siege from Pants, and Dequaza's actually losing out because of this Drain Hope build from Pants.
That means how Probius is heading to the top wave as well, where Ivy Tinks and friends have decided to use Odin to deal small points of damage on the fort rather than standing on the point. Definitely an interesting decision, even as Probius and Zagara are fencing for control of the center, for XP clear as well. We see that combo by Probius. Basically a hero with no mana pool for all intents and purposes. Able to one-shot waves with a few spells here and there. Still waiting for that perfect setup where people get CC'd. Probius can do some massive damage into enemy heroes. As it stands, Probius has 8,500 hero damage. The second lowest in the game, just above Brightwing. But a lot of siege damage. More than Zagara or Leoric by themselves, though not a lot more. So Probius is saving the game in macro perspective, but we have yet to see his power in any team fight whatsoever yet.
The really nice thing about those warp charges that you are seeing Probius utilize to clear waves is you no longer need to actually hit them with the disruption pulse. That little kind of the Q that you throw up from Probius, those will actually expire over time, and then they explode when they expire. No longer does it expire and then just go away. So it also allows Probius to do this double soaking. And I'll be honest, when I did play Probius this past week, your wave clear is really, really good with these changes. But how does it actually work out in the team fight? That's a little different. That's a little different. And right now, it's not being showcased too well. But the game is still early. We're 12 minutes in, 18's up on both sides. 3-1 in kills in our second Triglav, roaming around the map, trying to find some sort of value. But this Triglav still on the what would be Storm Esports side of the map if you were to draw an imaginary line down the center. It hasn't crossed that middle line just yet.
Yeah, and you know, one of the reasons that I think maps like these are good for weaker heroes is because some of the time they don't exist. They're inside the vehicle. But not putting Probius in the Protector, putting Tychus instead, it tells us all we need to know about Storm's prioritization of which heroes they think are too valuable to put inside the Protector. It is clear Probius is a top 3 hero for them here. Important to push another lane, even as 2 in the Protector go top. So what did they get top?
Nothing.
30% of a fort? Yeah, 30%.
Oh, did they? I honestly didn't think the Triglav stepped up. I thought that was already damage onto the fort.
Really? Oh,
no, you're right. You are right. I'm looking back at the live feed, and the fort had a lot more health. So the Triglav did step up at some point, but I was looking at bottom lane so long. I was like, did they really not get any value? A little bit of value, half a fort top fight.
First big 5-man fight by Storm. They're gonna do this. They still have Lornado. There's a jet propulsion miss. Is there still taunt? There's a taunt on the Blaze. He still has bunker. Lornado kind of misses. Lauber still has falling sword and healing token. He's not using it yet. That's a big jet propulsion. There's the first kill. Probius
kill will actually be from Probius, and Entomb from Pants does come out. Lauber is going to be threatened, but jumps into the bunker. Wraithwalk out from Pants to back away as the pylon overcharge was active. You can hear a couple shots still going out. It's going to be on a 70-second cooldown, if I'm not mistaken. There's Masquerade getting dove. He's trying to back away, but oh my god. Really good cleanse from Unaverted and Legacy. Sidestep. Great Lornado angle. Masquerade was assuming that it was going to pull him in, but no, it was an angle to the side, and now Masquerade shall fall. Legacy will as well, and the big old Commandeer Odin with the 20 talent to your big red button will be coming through, and we have sieging through the bottom lane for the side of Storm Esports.
Did Lornado and Probius just win the game in the last 30 seconds? I think they may have just, Bahamut.
If this is a win for Probius, there's going to be a lot of happy members in Twitch chat. Lauber with the falling sword did utilize that onto the friendly team. Gets the cooldown reduction. Lauber very low. The core shielding starting to fall. IB Tings will lose their Triglav Protector soon. Here comes an Entomb from the Leoric. No 20. Actually, 20's just now achieved. Big Devouring Maw didn't go for the upgrade. The core shielding has been scratched. The core will start to lose more shielding as Leoric does fall. The core is going to go down quite quickly. And a singular a single moment in this game through bottom lane was the victory for the side of Storm Esports, and the first victory for a Probius. GG, well played. Yeah, that was a game. I seriously awesome. Like it is awesome for Storm Esports. Like that is a big rallying moment. I have to say that BBJ had the best Lornado I think I've ever seen in Heroes the Storm Justing. Like that Lornado was the perfect read.
Yeah, it was very well played coming from BBJ and showing that he's taking that ultimate for a reason. That was a very explosive finish to the game. It seemed like Simplicity was kind of controlling the game. It was pretty back and forth. I took some notes on Probius. He runs quick, he does camps, he dies first, he 1v1 Zag, and he body blocks Varian apparently. So we saw that happen at the end. That was pretty cute. The little little Rutso on the Probius, sprinting in front of Varian to try to body block him with his 200 HP or whatever he's got. It was well played by Rutso in the end, and I'd say overall my MVP is probably Dayquaza. Although he wasn't playing Probius, he did have the game-winning jet propulsion there at the end in the team fight.
Yeah.
He hit a huge... Yeah, that's the first blood on the Probius. that was my note on that. I thought that's how the rest of the game was going to go for them, but obviously that's not the case. The huge team fight bottom. Simplicity a little bit over-aggressive, though. They did opt into taking that fight bottom, which ended up being it was a 4v5. Fancy Pants on the Leoric got there really late. And you can tell that Simplicity is still just pushing up 4v5, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Because, I mean, you're 4v5, you probably shouldn't be doing that, but they were just really, really aggressive and maybe a little bit too cocky here in the series. And they do get punished from Storm Esports. It was a huge jet propulsion coming out from Dayquaza, which onto Mene on Zagara, he has no ways to escape. This is the Rutso body block coming up right here. He goes into stuff in front of him for a bit and then remembers he's Probius and has to get back again. But it was a nice little move by him, and that was the good Lornado that sets up this kill. And again, just Dayquaza played really well in these last fights, and it really all just came down to this bot lane fight. The 3-for-0 at that late in the game, because while there was only 2 objectives, the second objective was pretty much ultimately ignored by both teams for a very long time. So we didn't even get to the third objective before teams were this late into the game. So death timers are that long. You lose 3-for-0 because you're trying to fight 4v5 and you get punished for it. So well played by Storm Esports to be able to take advantage of that and recognize that Simplicity is not invincible and they're not gods. If they're 4v5, you take that fight, and Storm takes that fight and they win it and run it down to core with the help of Probius. Probius did also help a lot on the core.
Yeah,
I will say that was a important part for their victory there.
I am blown away. Rutso has won the first Probius game in HeroesCCL history. So Probius 100% win rate. I can't wait to see all the Probiuses in Storm League and everything this upcoming week. It's gonna be so exciting, Grubby. But all jokes aside, that last fight in the bottom lane, that was just pure execution from Storm Esports. I think they played that super well, and Simplicity did try and defend. They had a pretty good defense. I feel like a lot of other teams would have faltered trying to push into Simplicity towards that end right there. There were a couple good moments from Simplicity where I thought it was actually, I was like, okay, we're not done with Volskaya just yet, but that isn't the case. We're getting ready for a 4th map right now, and we can get you informed as to where we're heading in just a few seconds here. I'm just seriously, like, I'm still reeling a bit from that last map, but we are going to be seeing Storm Esports taking us to Cursed Hollow as the members of Simplicity have opted in for first pick priority. Getting into Cursed Hollow, we're going to a large map, Grubby, but the momentum is definitely different than Volskaya Foundry.
Yeah, Cursed Hollow has no guarantee to go to level 20, unlike Volskaya Foundry. I'd say the likelihood of a level 20 Volskaya is 95%, if not more. On Cursed Hollow, we have seen games end brutishly fast sometimes. If both teams, one opens up with a Nubarak Greymane, the other with Sylvanas, there's a chance that you're trying to snipe each other's top wall, bottom wall, and if you choose Yin Yang and not both in the same place, then there's actually no valid decision to go and defend anymore. So you hightail it all the way to your opponent's keep. That can happen on this map because the lanes are further apart, and you can also get 3 tributes in a row and just cascade from there, get double boss and win the game at level 16, 17. It happens. But it is not the strongest map objective in general, so we routinely see level 20 as well on Cursed.
I'm trying to look back. Was it in week number 4 where Granite Gaming invaded the camp on Cursed Hollow and invaded the boss on Cursed Hollow? Wasn't that the double boss play in week number 4 from Simplicity versus? Yeah.
Very possible. I believe.
Yeah, it was week. Yeah,
so
it was week 4. So my train of thought with all of this is, as we're getting ready to go into Cursed Hollow, is like, I wonder, is there any sort of conversation or notes from the side of Simplicity, like, okay, make sure that if we're gonna go boss, we don't get, they don't make a rotation onto us. Because right now, if we look at stats, Simplicity, they're 50%, they're 2-2 wins losses on this map. The members of Storm Esports have not found a win on Cursed Hollow. So as we load on in here, excited to see, but Justin, any sort of thoughts, expectations we could see from either of these teams into our 4th map?
So I'm definitely expecting that Storm is going to be looking to either first pick or ban that Rhaegar, depending on how comfortable they are, how much they've practiced with it. Legacy looked very strong on that Rhaegar, and they have been banning it on Simplicity side when they are in that second pick position, and they're now first pick. So if everything follows, you'd expect them to want that Rhaegar first pick, unless they prioritize the globals more heavily than that. Falstad is also a huge priority pick. That was what enabled that play that you were talking about, the double boss play by Granite Gaming and Simplicity. The Falstad is really what enabled that play to happen against Simplicity. So I'm expecting Simplicity to look to either pick ban that early on in the draft if possible, as well as Storm. I'm expecting very high priority on Rhaegar and Falstad, most likely, in these first picks.
Any thoughts from you as well, Grubby? Just want to pick your brain as we're waiting for the bans to come through in this fourth map.
Double rotation XP soak was very possible for Ratso on Volskaya, where vision between lanes is plentiful and ganks are unlikely. You check 1 or 2 bushes and you've made the rotation. The travel speed is short and double soaking is possible. Not so much on Curse Hollow. On this map you can't get one double soaker, like Zul, Leoric or Probius. You need multiple solo laners, usually 2 bruisers or a bruiser and a ranged assassin that has a global like Falstad. So I don't think we're as likely to see Probius here from Storm, even as much as I think we would like to see it.
I think that's actually a very, very good point, because there might be people in chat who are already just, cheering for a Retso repeat on that Probius, but you do make an extremely good point. The rotations are a lot bigger. The map is a lot bigger. There's a lot more gank priority. There's a lot of big rotations. When we talk about ganks, as we're waiting for these last bans, actually, Justin, could you define, what's a great gank into a lane? How would you go about doing it in a theoretical sense of, what's the play to be able to do something like that?
So ideally, you're looking to pick someone off who's isolated, and a lot of successful ganks come down to the rest of your team's vision manipulation. The way that you sort of show or don't show in lane is very important at this level. You'll hear in comms sometimes even someone just saying I'm showing on the wave or something like that, which in a Storm League game that doesn't really matter, but in a competitive game like this, especially in Heroes of the Storm, where there's no wards or there's no other, you have Lunara Wisp, but you don't really have a lot of tools for vision. Kind of just staying off map creates that permanent threat that Muradin could be anywhere basically if you haven't seen him in a long time. So that's kind of what you would need to get the proper setup for those ganks. That's what makes those ganks possible, where you catch someone who's isolated in the offlane, because there's too many people to keep track of at a time, especially on these big maps where if everyone's out of vision for a long period of time, you can make the assumption that they're probably doing a camp, but if you make that assumption and you're wrong and you push forward, you're taking that risk. You're kind of taking that gamble to try to push your wave out, and that's where you can get punished by the gank.
Well, we could see a very punishing Rhaegar once again, because Simplicity was able to first pick that. Storm Esports don't think that it's that viable as a pick here, Grubby.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's viable either on this map.
Really?
We do have strong picks so far. I'm thinking Storm, they may go for Greymane themselves. How is Greymane into Blaze, Lunara, Rhaegar? I think it's fine, honestly. He doesn't really like to play into Stukov, which is still available and hasn't been banned, but double support for Simplicity, a bit less likely. Greymane and Nubrak Dahaka would give an amazing amount of map pressure for Storm that Simplicity would then need to try and solve without Falstad, without Brightwing. That's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, an Ethereal ban as well, so no repeat of what we saw in Alterac Pass from the side of Simplicity, because if I'm not mistaken, Simplicity was or not Alterac Pass, that was Infernal Shrines where they had the Rhaegar. This is looking very reminiscent of that Infernal Shrines game draft-wise so far from the side of Simplicity, but Brightwing ban as well, targeting out to BBJ. What do you think we could be seeing here from either side, Justin?
So it's a little peculiar that they banned Brightwing. Stukov is still available, but like we mentioned, he got those big nerfs, losing 15 HP.
Oh man, big slaps to Stukov.
Yeah, so there's the Stukov. Last week he was getting first pick banned. This week he's getting third, fourth picked. I think that's a little bit of a...
GG's?
I think that's probably more of a shift in general draft mentality as opposed to the Stukov nerfs. Obviously, they're very small. I do feel like banning the Brightwing, who did get nerfed quite heavily, and giving them Stukov here on the 3-4 by Simplicity is a pretty huge mistake, especially when you pair it with the Dahaka and Nubarak. That's kind of and the Tychus. Those are all sort of well-known combos. The Nubarak combo into Stukov Puddle into Dying to Tychus. All right, so we do have the curveball again, but we'll see if Storm Esports can throw it this game.
Oh. Sorry. When you say the words
throwing the curveball.
Yeah, no, sorry. It took me a second because I was just like, they
Nice
didn't throw
ball.
the last game. That was very good. You caught me
Thanks.
off guard, Justin. That was actually
Yeah,
phenomenally
I'm
done.
working on my mixtape.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. If you ever need anyone to review it, please by all means send it my way. I will not play it live on my stream by what some means ever. But what I do want to get is your thoughts on all of this, because we are loading to Curse Hollow. We got you for a few more moments here, Justin. Who do you think could take Curse Hollow map number 4?
So minus the Probius, which is kind of a bit unknown to me, and like Grubby had mentioned, this isn't exactly Probius's favorite map. There's a lot of open space where danger is lurking. It's a scary map to be a Probius on, especially when you start losing your forts. You kind of don't have any protection to fall back on. Aside from the Probius pick, I think that Storm's comp is quite a bit better. So a lot is going to come down to Rutso on the Probius. It's very hard to call this one, mostly because of the Probius is such an unknown factor to me.
Okay.
I would say I'm a little bit favoring Storm's comp, but the Probius might be so much of a detriment that it's not enough, because this map is really, really risky to play it. So I'm going to say slightly Storm favored, but I've been wrong on each prediction based on the draft, so for this series, so I'll have to go with Simplicity, I guess. Let's just do that.
I've been wrong as well for quite a few games, but Justin, thank you for your analysis, your breakdown. We'll see you after map number 4, Cursed Hollow, because we've got Simplicity in the blue, Mene on the Lunara, Legacy on the Rhaegar, Pants on the Blaze, Masquerade to play the May, and Unaverted on the Sylvanas. Over in the red, we're looking at Storm Esports, IBTings on the Tychus, BBJ on the Stukov, Lauber to play the Anubrak, Dequaz on the Dahaka, and Rutso once again on the Hardshell Boy, Probius. I look at the side of Simplicity's draft, Grubby, and I lean into them because of just the sustained chase. I feel like they can, and maybe I'm just I think harking is actually the right word for this. Maybe I'm just on this too much, but I feel like Probius can get punished super hard with the sustained chase, the slows, the bit of the little bit of damage. And right now, Simplicity, they're not showing on map. Lunara's only showed. Here comes the dive under Rutso. Yeah, Simplicity.
Very contemporary commentary by Bahamut. Oh man, I mean, did he really have to?
Yes.
He had the idea to stay behind the gate. He had the idea to throw a skill shot into the bush. But he also had the idea to roll with the skill shot and throw himself as a curveball. Justin saw this coming all along. And as he tried to bowl over the pins, he was actually the one that got bowled over by the pins. Simplicity striking back. It's cool. This was like 5 seconds before disaster. Great observing there. Simplicity gets first blood, I guess.
Yeah, first blood. That's a full kill.
Probius has blood? Anyway.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my prediction.
Yes.
Storm.
Okay, all right. What's leading you into Storm?
Probius and Stukov.
Okay, all right. You think it...
And I think...
Yeah, could you elaborate?
I think Rhaegar, his numbers are very good right now. Rhaegar, he's strong. And I checked the win rates on a third-party website for Storm League. He is the highest. By a margin.
Yeah.
Maybe a 5% win rate lead over everyone else. So his numbers are good. But it is maybe not the best map for him. It's kind of hard for him to maneuver on the perimeters on such a shallow, narrow map, let's say. Hard for him to go around, wrap around. And he can get CC'd a lot by Probius, Dahaka, Stukov, and Anubarak when he tries to be relevant in terms of doing an auto attack or a totem. We'll see how it goes, but I can't bet against Probius.
That's fair. I can't bet against a Rhaegar personally, honestly, and that's the reason it's actually pushing me towards the Simplicity side. So we'll have to see who's right, who's wrong, and then we'll duke it out after the series today.
For sure.
We'll meet at the bike racks. Yeah.
Part of my priorities when coming to high school, as a Dutch kid, everyone has bikes, was figuring out where my friends parked their bikes, even as they tried. You always try to hide them somewhere because, usually you didn't lock down your bike. There's so many. I mean, you lock it.
Oh, got you. Okay.
We had a prank where we would hide each other's bikes somewhere else. And because in Netherlands there's so many bikes, it could take a while to find it. Meeting at the bike racks, Netherlands style. Not like a fight, Just trolling each other by relocating each other's bikes. Only to friends.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, no, definitely it was the opposite for us. It was if you didn't chain your bike, you were walking home that day. And it wasn't your friend hiding your bike.
Oops.
Yeah.
Was it those bears again? You said there's a lot of bears in your neighborhood.
No, this is Metro Detroit, so it's a little different. I moved to I moved to Bear Country like 5 years ago, so it's a little different. But what's happening here in Cursed Hollow is a lot of really good push potential from the side of Storm Esports. They were able to get the first objective phase while we are reminiscing some school days, and Legacy is going to get dove on in front of his own gate, and Probius kind of clapping back saying, okay, you guys got a kill onto me, let me at least get a kill back onto you.
Yeah, now Legacy has some time to reminisce on his school days as the double kill back for Storm. They actually have got the lead in terms of XP, structural damage, and in kills as well, and in tributes.
Yeah.
The next tribute is going to be slightly favorably positioned for Simplicity. Storm can choose to go for it or not. The Haka is well positioned to join fashionably late. Let's see how Storm plays this out. They were checking, is Pans going to step forward too much or not? He's not. Now they're going to move in position. Masquerade is going to see everyone coming. Immediate grenade by IBTings to find out where Masquerade was.
Dahaka is showing in the bottom lane. Brush Talk is available. Here comes a jet propulsion from Pants in the flank on to BBJ. IB Tings actually was the target of that one. BBJ just nearby it. Masquerade comes in with the icing. Dahaka did Brush Dug up. IB Tings has a couple hundred HP, maybe less than that. Seems like the control is in favor of Simplicity as Masquerade backed up, got the channel, and this will be 1-to-1 in our curse points. But when we take stock of the map overall, I do believe Storm Esports has pushed up the majority, or has pushed up in their lanes completely, as we do have this loss to be grabbed. I'm thinking it's a little risky because of just the rotation from the objective, and there's still a few members of Simplicity in top, but Blaze is already gone, Lunara's already in bottom. I think this is just a boss trade. But Simplicity are starting this boss so late, and Lunara definitely showed in her rotation out of bottom.
Yeah, it's obvious what's happening here, and I think Simplicity, they had a choice to try and maybe contest the boss, but it's a bit risky because of the XP gap. One single kill on both sides, and Storm gets their 10s, but not vice versa. Lauber just a little bit too late to actually get the steal here, but they're gonna try to make a level 10 fight out of this.
Commandeer Odin taking a year and a half to be summoned, and IB Tings will lose 75% of his HP. Healing Pathogen will be spread around by BBJ, but that was actually super well played from Simplicity, even though they're down 10 talent tiers. And this is still a boss for Simplicity into the bottom lane. Lauber going in for the combo onto Masquerade as the channel will be had by Retso. Ancestor healing just in time on the Masquerade who goes in for the icing. Is this an avalanche game? No, it's an ice wall that did pop on the right-hand side. Bunker comes down from Blaze. Anubrak already falling in this engagement. Dequaza down to 50%. But here's the trade. Boss in top lane has already gotten a fort. Boss in bottom lane just now threatening fort at 50% HP. And that boss in top needs to be cleared out. I'm actually going to check really quickly. Oh, it's going to get it's going to get keep front gate, maybe.
Yeah, the valuable thing there is that it still can tank a bunch of shots, so those archers are doing a lot of damage. Unaverted comes in, makes short work of that. Good job. Now, 2 tributes in Storm's possession already. They're also leading in forts. I hate to say it, but it looks like Probius is outperforming Rega right now, Bahamut.
I am crushed. In our next break, I'm going to have to go just stare out the window, eat some fruit leather, just try and get my head back in the game. But it is going to be actually, when we talk about this game, it's going to be Simplicity, giving the curse over, trying to push out these lanes. I feel like Simplicity, I think this is kind of this is an okay call from Simplicity. They don't want to have the lanes all pushed in super hard, so they are kind of proxying a little bit. We had Lunara in bottom, Blaze in top, and this will be mid lane now threatened, but there's a camp to be grabbed as well to apply some counter pressure, maybe a fight to be had?
Yeah, maybe we should jump into Storm because this may be the last chance we'll ever get to hear Probius comes.
Into Storm we go.
Soak.
You can go catch it. I think they're probably
I
not
can
here.
go top. I can go top. I'm going.
Cleanse down.
Oh,
Ice
I
wall
got
there.
it.
Okay, maybe.
Fine. May's out of the fight.
No MC. Lunar.
Trying to kill Bunker.
Get out, Kevin.
Can't lie.
They're all silenced.
Abby. Damn.
We're getting bot forward.
Still even in XP.
Just go hards.
There's no boss on the objective on the map.
We jump into the Storm Esports column, and we unfortunately just hear Lunara, and Probius is dead. Grubby,
Yeah.
Maybe I should say, seems like Rhaegar's doing a little bit better than Probius.
I can hear how you hate to say it.
Oh, it's hurting.
This is hard for you.
This is hard. It's like pulling teeth, but you know what isn't pulling teeth? Checking out a replay and seeing how that engagement went over to Simplicity.
I think Minute on Lunara kind of saved it there. Look at this cleanse on Sylvanas there. Wait, it's Rhaegar, sorry. It's Legacy there with the cleanse on Lunara. They layered a lot of CC there. Probius got all in by Lunara. Mena doing that leaping strike. Double leaping strike, Probius pretty much dead.
Yeah.
In comes Tequaza with the revenge. Nice ice wall by Masquerade.
And this is defensive ice wall that's utilized just to slow down the advances of Storm Esports, as this is a camp through mid lane that was providing a little bit of spell armor to Storm Esports, as it does have that mage providing, I believe, 20 spell armor, so long as it's alive and you're inside the circle. Speaking of armor, we didn't really talk about Anubarak really quickly. He did go for the Hardened Carapace build, a little change up here and there, but he did go into the Nerubian armor at level 1, which increases your baseline spell armor from 40 to 60. So you'll see that little kind of mage staff next to Lauber's name, and there's a little 60. That's what that means. His spell armor is up by 60%, so he'll take 60% less damage from incoming spell-based abilities.
Yeah, he took the regeneration globe talent in the previous game, and I think it leaves something to be desired in terms of burst protection. It made sense that game because the main damage against him was Greymane, so regeneration and potentially bonus health can help against the one-shot, but here there is a lot of spell damage.
Lauber,
burrow charge.
Forward, but he burrow charges away. Icewall comes out from the May. There's Lurking Arm from the Stukov. And the objective phase is up and available. Camp does go over to the side of Simplicity. It's 15 up on both sides, 4-2 in kills. Dahaka in the bottom lane, but he should have Brush Talk. Blaze will be rotating up. I believe he's not showing in the mid lane rotation. I didn't check vision, so either way. Blaze coming up, looking for a flank. Lunara's got Sentinel Wisp in the bush, getting a lot of vision for the side of Simplicity, but that's cleared out. And here comes a curse, but no actual curse point to the side of a team, just a tribute that could lead them into that actual curse for the side of Simplicity.
I'm looking at Unaverted here, seeing how Sylvanas can be effective to deal damage. She has the mind control. Still looking at Unaverted. She's trying to just hit the Haka, stay out of that silence, takes a grenade. In comes the Odin. Menace steps up real far forward. Another circle coming out of BBJ with the silence. There's a lot of zoning circles that Simplicity has to try and dodge. I think they have to leave. They're just taking infinite damage from Stukov, from Odin, from Probius. This is not a place they can fight through. And the ice wall misses. Wait. Huh? BB? You see BBJ's duration? What is that? Oh, of course, the shields from Probius.
Yeah, it's they're inside Probius's level, I believe it's 13. The shield battery, pylon power fields grant allied heroes 52 shields per second up to 210 scaling. Shields persist 2 seconds after exiting pylon, but a huge burrow charge from Lauber. There's going to be a silence onto a few members with that isolation. Actually, it's just onto one member. Sorry, I misread that right there. Legacy very low. Does he have an Ancestor healing? No, it's on a 90-second cooldown.
Yeah,
Legacy...
he just cast it. He saved himself with it, then nearly died again, but the bunker saved him on the brink. Masquerade is getting all in again. The cleanse was good, but he had nothing left to save himself. Big blow up on Rhaegar. Legacy survives thanks to the bunker as well from Pants here. But at the end of the day, there was enough bandwidth to make the re-engage on May. Fantastic play. Lauber getting some good moves in there as well. Good burrow charge. And Storm with the kill, with the tribute as well. Now getting the boss. And Lauber already in position to interrupt the boss. Tequaza in position to take the tribute. And the Impale scouts, and Lauber should not advance here. If he gets mind controlled, he could die, and it could be a terrible anti-momentum play. But now Storm just has the space to, just to defend the boss without too many losses, really.
Bottom. Lunara. Goodbye.
Wow.
Good chain CC between Tequaza and Lauber. And one thing that we actually didn't even really see or talk about is there was such a quick moment. Tequaza already channeled it. There was a curse during that entire moment, from the from getting boss on top right to rotating and trying to threaten boss on bottom left and getting the kill on Lunara. Between the boss on the bottom and the Lunara kill, Tequaza was able to get the second tribute for his team.
Yeah.
it's really, really good Dahaka play, and that's the thing. Is like I feel like a lot of people when they play Dahaka, they go, "I have a brush stock, and that's what I use." Like, no, like you're splitting. You don't need to be with the team constantly. And I think we're seeing great examples of it from Dayquaza here in map number 4. And I have to say here, Grubby, as much as we were kind of bantering back and forth about Probius versus Rhaegar, this is actually looking like a very good game from Storm Esports. Rutso playing a phenomenal Probius for his team.
Yeah, he's actually second in damage behind Tychus, as you would expect. Has still got 100,000 of siege damage, same as Blaze pretty much, and has more hero damage. Well, has more hero damage than everyone else except Tychus, less than Lunara Sylvanas, of course. But overall, kind of okay where you would expect and hope for it to be. A little bit of a different talent build here. Didn't get the spell armor at 4, went for turbocharged. Worker Rush grants extra movement speed and lower cooldown as well. So Rutso's going to be able to rotate a bit bigger on such a big map. Jet Repulsion on Probius! Why was I talking about him? I cursed him! Quick, talk about Rhaegar.
Well, Rhaegar might have got a nice little purge right there, and slow with the totem. Ice Wall comes out. I'm trying for you, Grubby. I really am. But that's a huge shutdown from the side of Simplicity during a Storm Esports curse.
Yeah, that feels a little bit like a deja vu. Earlier in the game, at least we're still getting XP. Copium says like Storm Esports. Oh, they've got 6 tribute points and not able to push with it once. But seriously, what was that rotation? You go through that alley where you're giving literal vision of yourself to the enemy team via the buildings. Pretty much. I mean, you're so close. I guess the walls don't give too much vision, but I mean, it's super easy to be found there. You rotate like that as Probius is real risky.
I mean, it's not the biggest health pool in the game, 2,657 right now. I'm just skimming through other health pools. Most heroes have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 more HP than this Probius, so he is a little bit struggling in that factor, but it hasn't been, like, I think that's the only moment where, I wouldn't say only moment, because there was that gank in the beginning of the game where he really got just shut down. But anyways.
Yeah, and then there was the second time, and it was the time he fell from the stairs. Yeah. And it was actually, there were a lot of moments, of weakness.
Probius is almost as clumsy as me, just, kicking the side of a wall with your pinky toe as you just, like, I've lived in this house for 4 years, and I still kick the side of a wall when I'm walking around the house, like, you think I'd have it down.
Where you place your bike in Detroit.
Yeah.
You have a history of things here. But I mean, that would have happened to Raynor as well, Bahamut.
Absolutely.
If Probius was there.
Yeah. So it's not like just because it's this metal ball from the Protoss side. Sorry, I'm looking to see. I thought there was an engagement on the lobber with the slowing totem, but not the case. It's just going to be continued siege from Storm Esports, opening up the middle of the map. This is, I gotta say, even though Storm is losing out on some of these critical fights, I feel like Storm is still controlling the map, and really gotta know how. How are they able to do this? Usually, you lose that many fights or key moments, you don't have this advantage. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah, and you waste 2 curses.
Yeah.
Right? Like, those curses were almost entirely immaterial. One of the weakest objectives. Like, we're talking 2 out of 10 Triglav strength.
Yeah.
Still, they got the job done. Odin, second objective there. Okay, Sylvanas, mind control. Oh no, he kind of missed. I don't think he really wanted to shoot it in that direction, or he expected Lauber to kind of dodge there. Lauber, let's see, does he still have rewind available? Oh no, he went for Trader King this time. Probably wise. He's died a bit too much today, and now he's a lot safer into mind control.
And speaking of mind control, this is going to be called the Dark Lady at level 20, so you have like a 15-second cooldown onto that ability. So it is already off a cooldown. A new Brat Cocoon is off a cooldown. Mind control goes out, won't connect, 12 seconds on that. But the other thing I was going to notice, Commandeer Odin was off a cooldown as well. Here comes the Brushstock in from the Dahaka. He's going to burrow in. There's a bunker down from the Blaze. Isolation, was it attempted? No, it's actually still off a cooldown, and we do have the Contagion level 20 for that spread splash. And in these corridors, that's really good. But once again, while all the zoning was had, Rutso gets the channel, but the zoning isn't over just yet. We do have a boss started, leashed immediately. The fight breaks out. The pylon overcharge. Rhaegar gets hit with the cocoon. No Farseer's blessings from Legacy as he gets hit with the isolation. And he tries, in the frames that he had available, tries to get the Farseer's blessing the Ancestor Healing level 20 isn't able to do so. Once again, it's Storm Esports who are going to be coming out on top of these objective phase-based fights. It's like two different playstyles, Grubby. Storm Esports, they fight around the objective perfectly. Storm Esports fight horrifically outside of objective phases.
Yeah, but it makes sense, right? Because they got great zoning tools with Anubarak and Probius and even Stukov.
Yep.
But like out in the open, when they're trying to make use of a tribute, it kind of falls apart. It's actually super cool because Rhaegar is also struggling with that positioning that I talked about at the start. And we're seeing that. It's kind of as expected. Both teams using the strengths of their team really well in those moments. Now with just 10 seconds left on Savannah's death timer, we have a move where we're actually considering going for the core. And it makes sense. Boss is still full life. Men is starting to try and hurt it. Blaze gonna get the bunker off. He gets pulled back into the silence.
Contagion. Mind control, a lot thrown on to Dequaza. I don't know if he has essence or anything. He was tanking tower shots. Gets the burrow under the ground with 300 HP. Cocoon onto Lunara. Does Mene have a leaping strike? No, because it's Dequaza with the drag. Tychus does go down. Core shielding has fallen. Core HP is going to go down as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we begin the possibility of a reverse sweep for Storm Esports into the side of Simplicity, as Storm Esports has taken map number 4, Cursed Hollow. Oh, Grubby, this is we have all been talking about how this series was going to be the best series of the day. And after those first 2 maps, I was like, oh man, this might be like a fast 3-0. But no, Storm Esports, they rally, they bring the pain, and Probius continues to be the dominant force in HeroesCCL as he has a 100% win rate, lossless, may have died 3 times, but still. I think Rutso is making great examples of how Probius works with this team. And I think it's also the draft adjusting. I think there's a lot of really, really intricate things that Grubby had mentioned during the games, but I'm sure you can break down further for us.
Yeah, I've got some more Probius facts. While he does have a 100% win rate so far, he also has a 100% getting first blooded rate as well in both the games. Just pointing that out. He does get camp advantage for the team, so that's something that the Probius uniquely brings is in the first camp phase, Storm Esports managed to get both their Siege Giants and their Knights out immediately before Simplicity was able to even get their Giants. So he does just kind of create tempo for them. He gives them momentum. This is the first blood of the second game. Once again, Retso on Probius does get deleted. Just had to note that real quick. But this game was mostly Storm from start to finish. There was a bit of back and forth with both teams trading bosses twice in a row. It seemed like Simplicity would show up to a fight for a tribute, fail to get any kind of meaningful engage, and then just leave and trade bosses. And they did that twice, but the third time when they tried to look for the fight near the boss and objective, they really got punished. Unaverted on the Sylvanas got kind of just trapped under a Stukov puddle. It felt like there was really no clear way to engage for Simplicity, and they were trying a little bit too hard to force engages. But they have a Mei. They're a Mei, a Blaze. Their comp is a Rhaegar. Their comp is really designed to counter engage. But as long as Lauber does what he did, which was good by Lauber to not burrow in too much and play too aggressively this game, which shout out to Lauber this game for, I think, making a big improvement in his play. He was playing something that he got punished on in game 1 on the Anubarak, but he was playing it different this game. He recognized that he doesn't really have to go in, and his team will kind of just passively win the game. They have Stukov Puddle, they have Probius stuff everywhere, they have Tychus with Odin, and between those 3, it really felt like there was no meaningful way to enter the fight for Simplicity. Simplicity was just kind of getting permanently zoned off of every single tribute that they contested, and then they had to fall back to just trading bosses, and then they finally commit to that fight at level 20 by the enemy boss, and they lose 2-0, and the game's just over for them there. Well played by Storm Esports, and good on Storm Esports to understand what their win condition in teamfights is, that they play to just set up around a point and just play defense. And Simplicity kind of fell for the trap. They were sort of just throwing themselves in, trying to get some kind of engage, and it just wasn't working out for them. They didn't really have the tools with the Mei, and their comp's just not aggressive enough. So, well played by Storm Esports. Probius 100% win rate.
Probius has been making some massive explosions here in HeroesCCL week number 6, and the games are not done just yet. We are getting ready for map number 5. Before we get into that, we're going to take a small little break. In that break, I heavily massively, colossally encourage you all to hit ! prize pool. We are $200 away from $9,000 for this prize pool. So if you want to donate, if you want to check out the prize pool, the Matcherino ! Prize pool in chat, we are so close to that $9,000 mark because of your support. So thank you all so much for all the support for HeroesCCL. We're about to find out, will Simplicity fall in map number 5, or will they rally just like last week and just reel things back in and take a 3-2 up against Storm Esports? Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. The bone meat. Welcome back to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby, and we are getting ready for map number 5 in our first best of 5 of the day. Storm Esports up against Simplicity, and I say this every time, but it is the truth in the matter. Will this be the team that can make Simplicity bleed and show that they are not the god that they claim to be? This is really, really exciting, Justin, and I'm ready to go, to get into our next and final map in this series. But what's your, Justin, where are you at, energy-wise for this? Are you're just through the roof? You're like, yeah, Probius, I'm going to go spam him in every single one of my Storm League games and win them and get Grandmaster, right?
I might do that. I don't know if I'll get Grandmaster doing that. I can try my best. Probius is looking pretty strong in this series. I wasn't quite brave enough to call that Storm would be the team that could take down Simplicity. I was teetering on thinking that. Because Storm is, like I said, they're a really sort of high variance team where it feels like they always try to bring the game to game 5 no matter what. And we'll see if this is the game 5 that they can win and if they can take down Simplicity. That would be huge for Storm Esports if they're able to win this game 5 for the standings. That would be extremely important for them.
Well, let's talk about the next map because I believe we have that ready to go. And Grubby, Justin, it's my favorite map to close out. It's my favorite map in Heroes of Storm, but it's my favorite map to close out any best of series. A best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, best of whatever. Towers of Doom will be the map choice of Simplicity as Storm Esports will be given first pick. So for anyone wondering at home, some stats-wise, this is going to be Simplicity. They are currently 2-0 on Towers of Doom, lossless, and the members of Storm Esports are 1-2 wins and losses. So record-wise, a little bit better for the side of Simplicity, but momentum-wise, Grubby, things are looking very good for Storm Esports.
Yeah, they do. I mean, we're at a situation where they could reverse sweep. We've had a fair amount of them this season, quite a few actually. Usually with Diamond Hands being involved.
Yeah.
But Storm looking like they might be able to do the reverse sweep. So what bans are we expecting here? We've had 2 bans of Rhaegar by Simplicity and 2 picks, with 1 win when he was picked and 1 loss. So it's pretty balanced across the board. They still refuse to let Storm have Rhaegar and Johanna for that matter, which means first pick Probius is potentially available. But I think a large part of that game was also Stukov,
Yep.
right wing getting nerfed, Stukov barely so. Maybe not as good on this map here, but hey, it's Stukov. He's good everywhere. And in fact, this is actually one of his best ones where you can silence the sappers and prevent them from exploding.
Yes. A little bit of tech, as Grubby was mentioning, is the sappers charge. When they in lane, they just kind of meander, but when they actually get in range, I don't know what the range specifically is unit-wise, but when they get into X range of a tower or a structure, they go for that little bit of a charge. That is an ability, and Stukov, Lurking Arm, silences ability, so really, really cool tech right there. Also, for any Garrosh mains out there, you can actually throw the sappers with the into the fray, into the death zone, actually get the points that way. But Justin, a lot's happened here, and I want to get your thoughts on what we could be seeing and what we have seen so far for Towers of Doom draft.
So Simplicity banning away the things that have been changed recently in the Rhaegar and the Johanna, that makes sense. Getting Dahaka first pick on Towers of Doom is a huge advantage. He plays exceptionally well around the objective. He can kind of just control the top side and kind of do his own thing on the top side of the map. Anubarak the Vala priority is a little bit strange. And I'm assuming that Simplicity is going to ban Stukov here. Stukov, I think, was very crucial to Storm's success in the last game. Just the puddle build. But, I mean, Probius is available. You wouldn't expect Vala Probius to be picked, but it is possible. If they do look to go that route, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe an unaverted Zeratul to try to sort of punish the double squishy backline.
I was just going to say, it kind of looks like a Zarya pick here with Ratso still there, Vala's necessity to be protected, and Simplicity perfectly pierces through that possibility.
Yeah, that's a good ban by Simplicity for sure, because I think they've been banning that in the first 2 picks earlier, but now they're kind of pivoting and banning the Johanna. So yeah, that's a good catch. The Retzo Zarya definitely works a lot better in the comp here with the Vala.
Could we have like last pick for Storm, Uther, Lucio? Would that make sense?
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Maybe you'd probably rather play like Malf Uther if you were to play that. The Malf pairs better in the double support. It has the CC and it's also just more sustained for Vala. That would be very strong if they were to go that route.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a scary time right there. You know, I was kind of thinking about it, but maybe it's not as memey as I'm thinking. Ariel, she did have very slight buffs on the patch. Detainment Strike's good to kind of knock back Lunar and Diablo.
Or they could do Mephisto, Malfurion, bit of a counter into double support with Mephisto, the roots for the portal.
I'm curious. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yes. Well, yeah, no, Justin, I think you said the right word right there is fearless. This is, hey. Yeah, what do you think about this draft and all that good stuff? Because
they did pick the Medivh early here, so they're unable to go with that Zeratul like I had expected if they were to go the Vala Probius route. So it might be a little bit difficult for them to find something that can punish the backline. Hogger's what they go with. I think that's fine, assuming he goes Hortipult. In the earlier game we saw from Storm Esports, when they had kind of a wombo combo, they went Shockwave, and they weren't able to kill the front line, so that was kind of awkward. I'm hoping to see Pants on Simplicity go with the Hortipult to try to punish the enemy backline with the squishy Vala Probius. Also, Brightwing doesn't work amazingly with Medivh. It's okay, but it's not like the optimal pairing. You would rather have something like a Malfurion that can kind of provide that hard CC and just like constant single target heals. And they do have Malfurion on the side of Storm Esports, which is a decent soft counter to Medivh. You can't really just portal aggressively whenever you want, because that root can just stop everyone when they take it, and then they all fall asleep. So it's hard to say, because the Probius is just such an X factor here for Storm Esports. They definitely don't have the same type of zone control that they had in the previous game, where they had so much success with it, so I don't think that it's going to be quite as strong. And also, the Probius is always going to be under threat of getting Medivh portaled with having a Diablo on his face. So I'm expecting to see more of a Simplicity that we saw against Oxygen, where in Game 5 they rallied really hard and just shut it out. But it could go both ways. This is Game 5, and Storm Esports on the cusp of making a reverse sweep happen. I'm favoring Simplicity's draft, though. Diablo should be relatively invincible. Yeah. I think the backline for Storm is in a bit of danger here.
I'm really siding with you on this, Justin, and we'll see you after this game for some analysis and some breakdown. But thank you, as always, for what you provided during this draft for us at home. And we have here Simplicity in the blue, final map in this first best of 5 of the day. Pants on the Hogger, Mene on the Lunara, Masquerade, on the Diablo, Legacy to play the Brightwing, and Unaverted on the Medivh. Over in the red, Storm Esports breathing some life in this series. Potentially another win for Probius. We got IB Tings on the Vala, Retzo on the Probius, Lauber on the Anubarak, Malfurion to be played by BBJ, and Dayquaza on the Dahaka. It's hard for me to really vote against Medivh Diablo on a map like Towers of Doom, Grubby, with Mene's Lunar as well. Like, I think, for me at least, it is on Storm Esports to prove that they can do this. And I know some people in chat are probably like, they've already won twice with Probius. What else do they have to prove? Different comp, different map, different play style. And I feel like Storm is the one that really needs to surprise on this map, because Simplicity, I think they have a very linear way that they can play this with the Wombos at 10, with Mene's just burst ability. But Grubby, what do you think? We haven't heard from you in a little bit. Want to get your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I'm just kind of quietly appreciating how Junkrat was neither picked nor banned. The whole game, the whole draft on Towers of Doom, where before that was unthinkable just a week ago. And, maybe he has more utility in one trap, but not having 2 traps has hurt him in the optics of these teams here. Maybe it didn't quite fit in the draft. Maybe Storm is just repeating what worked, even if they can't really explain it. Why Probius could possibly be a better pick than Junkrat, who used to be kind of seen as a good counter into Medivh, even as Medivh was hard to counter. Oh, nice impale there, stopping the Shadow Charge in its tracks.
Good tech from Lauber, the ability just to read the Shadow Charge from Masquerade. It's like a couple weeks ago when it was Masquerade who was able to read like a just shadow charge from a different Diablo with the Stormbolt from Murden. That was like Alterac past bottom lane or something like that. Or no, it's Curse Hollow. Anyways, good rotations. When we look at level 1s, we are going to be seeing enhanced agility for Dahaka. When he has 5 stacks, he will be moving at mount speed, 130%. When he has 10 stacks and the ability finished out, he moves at 140%. You get 2% per stack. But the other thing to note on that level 1 is your duration of speed increases from 2 seconds after leaving a bush to 5 seconds. So a little bit more maneuverability between top and mid double soaking for this Dahaka. And he did go Lurker Strain at level 4, so we'll see him kind of bopping around, pushing people around. And it's a nice anti-dive level 4 for Dahaka with such a dive-heavy portaling comp like Simplicity has.
Masquerade looking for the target.
Same
Lauber
thing.
again with the interrupt. Nice control of Diablo, man.
Good control of Diablo. Stacking will continue for Vala. Masquerade getting chunked. He should be able to get the portal with 100 and something HP. 200 and something HP, actually. Fire at will from Vala, already at 5 stacks. Out of the initial 20, it's an overstacking quest. But Grubby, it's a first objective phase, and it's going to be in the mid area. But Storm Esports, good siege into bottom lane, good steal on camp and everything, too. We didn't really talk too much about Storm Esports invading the Sapper camp and getting the channel on it, too.
Yeah, this feels just like a Zarya push, actually. It has all the qualities of that double support, that role that Ratso actually really likes. A supporter that can also deal damage. He plays Uther, he plays Zarya, and now he also plays Probius. And that level 13 talent that gives 52 shields per second to all allies in a pylon range, that's also going to help into Lunara. Actually, a lot of relevant types of shielding into that sustained damage from Lunara. Kind of a hidden tech pick. And it helps Vala in general, who loves to get that sustained healing so that she can push to the limits. And Storm definitely is. Taking down a bell tower at 4 minutes would be insane. Lauber again with the outplay, the Impale on the Shadow Charge. That is not to say that Diablo can outplay the Impale, but just when you consider that they're playing on NA from Europe, Lauber to continually anticipate that Shadow Charge and stopping it, just giving another 10 plus free seconds to his team where they don't need to be afraid. It's pretty cool to see indeed. And we also can see that Roots from Mouth lasts for about 85% of the duration of a portal. So that pretty much makes a tiny window for them to even be able to make use of that.
Lauber's going to be thanking the Canadian ping very soon, or maybe he won't be because we do have a lot of damage onto him. There's going to be a burrow charge in from Anubarak once again onto Masquerade, but Dayquaza did rush stock in. We do have that Lurker Stream bopping people around. There's a phase shift in from Legacy. Masquerade pushing people around, but Vala is still firing at will, dumping in the damage. Dayquaza so very low, will not go down. Sapper Camp does go over to the side of this Simplicity crew. Hogger gets 1, 2. Whoa, that bounce may have been perfect.
That was cool! Wow, from both sides it was so cool.
Yeah.
Dayquaza's anticipation of the targets coming through the portal as he was low and just got away. Then Hager's revenge with the arcane explosion from Medivh trying to get a Nubarak. And then the counterplay. Really, really sick.
And Lauber can't step forward. Vala is going to get shredded. Lauber didn't even have mana to do anything. So his step forward was, it might have been more or less like a, hey, I can threaten maybe with my body, but this is going to be 4 shots raining into the right side. Parity has been found on the map. 32 to 32 in core HP. 10 talent tiers around the corner for both sides, but Simplicity will now shift gears in their favor, grabbing this camp to the bottom lane.
Back to the double photon cannon talent here from Probius, getting that level 4 photon barrier, 40 spell armor. Let's check a replay of that latest kill once again. We can kind of see what happened there as we run it back, go back in time to check it out. Yeah, there we go. We have Dayquaza there trying to stand on the point. Masquerade, he pushes him off. Somehow Dayquaza gets away, courtesy of that bonus movement speed. In comes the portal. You can see Pants jumping in. Immediate drag tongue. In comes the arcane explosion. He chases. Lauber drops so low, but he actually gets just another shield from his level 1. And that saves him as Vala Ivytinks unleashes all holy hell. And there, Storm Esports in the interim has also managed to get the bottom bell tower at 6 minutes and 5 seconds in game time. Very impressive. If they can defend that, it can actually see them a lot of advantage in the coming minutes.
96 souls for Diablo. Excuse me. 32 stacks on the Medivh baseline Arcane Rift out of the 40. As a reminder for anyone that doesn't know, if Medivh does die before finishing that baseline, he loses all stacks. All. Not a portion. All of them. It's like Convection Kael'thas. Vala did finish her level 1, but it does, as I said, overstack. The big thing with finishing a level 1 is it jumps the damage up another 40, so you have 80 damage at that point. So right now she is looking at 86 increased damage on that W, and then you also have the baseline damage of 245, and then an additional 154 from the Arsenal grenade that has to hit. But Probius to get the channel in bottom, 5 shots will rain into the Simplicity core, and Rutso zoning very well with this Probius, but maybe a fight to break out, Grubby?
Yeah. Oh, Leyline seal on 2 members there. Let's see, Pants is going to try to do the staggering blow. He actually misses. It was a bit late. Now it's all he can do to get away from the pylon. Look at those pylons shooting away on Masquerade. In comes the Brightwing. It's not enough. Legacy, with his tail between his wings, flies away. And it is, at the end of the day, Diablo dead, Souls reset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the first Photon overcharge that I'm actually aware of having been cast. He must have used it in the other games, Bahamut. It's the first one I actually see.
He did. I've noticed the auditory noise for it because it has that weird kind of like canny sort of bouncy noise. The one thing I do want to note on this is it's just nice to see a Protoss with a useful heroic, right?
I'm doing some mental math. I remember arguing why Void Prison is the best one in the game. So I can't say that I entirely agree with that. But Suppression Pulse, I mean, Laser in particular comes to mind. And yes, I will say it is about as useful as Laser.
Like the Pylon Overcharge actually got a lot of value right there because it was changed, I believe, in the most recent patch where it actually prioritizes heroes within the range. So the drag from Dayquaza was actually critical to get a lot of good blow-up potential, and having all these pylons around does, increase the damage since they're all firing for 8 seconds straight for 160 scaling damage. It is a 80-second cooldown, but it's already back up, and Probius set up around this next objective phase will be double. They did lose the top lane bell tower. Dahaka will push up a wave, but things are getting pretty spicy here, Grubby. Do you want to get into some comms for this next objective, potentially?
Yeah, let's hear from Simplicity.
Into Simplicity we go.
Probius capping. Can we look now?
Look. Fine.
I'm jumping in.
I'm wet.
I got a ley line.
I
will breath on it.
Okay. I need help on the right, maybe? That's fine.
I saw shield.
Not dying.
I still have Z.
Okay.
Read the shit.
No clans.
I'm Z.
I got a shield for you.
I'm on Malf. Yeah.
I know nothing.
One a noob.
Please one kill. I will die. Okay, I'm Gucci, thanks. I have spin in you.
I have shield in 2.
Malf is dead, I don't have a healer. I need help.
Let's go then.
Kill him.
Portal
nothing.
1.
Nothing.
Portal out.
Just get out.
We're fine. I need help.
I'm close enough to you. No, you're fine.
Very different energy in the comms that we're hearing there, and it seems, I wouldn't say defeated by any means, but a lot less, I have this, I'm looking at this. It was a lot of things that they don't have, not things that they can actually do from the side of Simplicity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they should try being more positive. We have 1 death. We have one.
Well, it was just a lot of I can'ts instead of like any sort of other abilities. It seemed a little defeated to me. That's just what I took away from it. But I mean,
well, technically they were like,
sure.
Right. They were just defeated in the battle, not the war yet. But they have to wait and lick their wounds, and but seen from their perspective, super interesting to see it like that. Mm-hmm. They deal unholy amounts of damage, and then you just have Malfurion Tranquility. You've got the shields from Probius just ticking away and just healing things up, and it's interesting, man. Like we're watching 3 competitive games with Probius in a row. In all of the esports years of Heroes of the Storm at the pro level, we have never ever seen 3 Probius games in a row in a best of 5 in any of the tournaments of high level, which is just super cool. And winning now. as well.
I don't think we've seen 2 games of Probius. So
Yeah,
this is like
I'm trying not to like say something that definitely could be disprovable. I'm pretty sure that this one is safe.
Sure, that's fair. All right, so let's see. Let's take stock of the map right now. Triple altar phase, top left and right. Seems like Simplicity are setting up for this to maybe gank onto Dahaka here. Bottom lane, there's Medivh floating around Malfuri, and Probius is getting the channel. So Drag will connect onto the Hogger. Pants is gonna have a little 1v1 over here. Probius Malfurion will be rotating up. Phase shift from Brightwing. Trade onto the 2 objectives. 5 shots and boss would be GG for Storm Esports.
Oh my god. It's getting real close here, and talent lead now as well. Storm could try to flip the switch. We got the Impale coming out. Medivh kind of there scouting at the back. He's got a great tunnel there to cast Leyline through, and I think this might just be a 4-man Leyline. There we go.
Leyline connecting onto 3. We do have quite a bit of damage from IBTings onto this Medivh, but we do have a Nubright going in very deep, cocooning onto 1. Lobber is very split. Pylon Overcharge will be out, getting some shots. Lunara comes out of the cocoon as a massive Leyline again because of level 16 Temporal Flux, and it seems like Storm Esports just want to back away. Probius with a sliver of HP, but it's Medivh gets dragged into the death zone. Is this enough? It's 4v4. Can they step in for this? IBTings is looking for the angle, but Legacy has the channel. I don't think IBTings can get this in time, and no, they will not be able to. Storm Esports are not able to end off of this. It's 8-26 in core HP, but the map is still anyone's game, Grubby.
Yeah, for sure. Still leading for Storm, but that's a great job by Simplicity. And even though Medivh, unaverted, ended up dying, getting 2 ley lines like that was insane. Shadow Charge angling failure as he doesn't get the stun on Malfurion, trying to get the Probius, but for some reason Probius is taking no damage at all. Then they blow up Hogger, absolutely blow him up. We have Storm getting a little bit...
What?
Well, I don't want to say lucky. They're doing really good. We have Simplicity getting a little bit too overconfident here.
How did that not... I need to see a replay or adjusting breakdown of how that actually happened, because yeah, like I was looking at Probius' position, I'm like, he dies. Rutso dies. Maybe he dies here. Pylon Overcharge will be activated. Rutso is maybe saved by the Leyline Seal. BBJ looking for the... Yeah, that Leyline Seal just saved Rutso. And Medivh will fall.
Probably. I mean... Technically, it was only Probius. It was only Brightwing and Medivh. Like, they didn't have that much damage, but I'm gonna go for the boss.
I feel like Probius... Hold on, let me check one thing really quickly. Medivh Q, because his Q does a lot of damage. But Probius had like, what, 400-ish HP?
Yeah, it does have the spell armor most likely, so it's not gonna do as much.
Shield battery. Okay, so maybe I'm over exaggerating. Okay, because it's like 300 and at the time it was like 310ish damage from a Q. But let's actually take a look at that replay, Grubby, and maybe we can break down this a little bit further.
I wonder which one we're gonna see. Is it the one where Hogger zoned at the objective, or are we gonna see that? Okay. Yeah, it's this one. So Masquerade was trying to catch Rutso, and look at Hogger. He just takes massive damage from Vala. Multi-shots, autos. No one was even looking at IBTings. Mena obviously was. He tries to take down IBTings, and now he's just left in a terrible position. So I feel like, honestly, a little bit Masquerade's mistake. He tried to Shadow Charge Malf, missed it, and then forced his backline to commit past the point where Vala got 3 shots in. Meanwhile, we're back in the present. Not too good here for Simplicity either. Masquerade is dropping real low. He gets dragged on. Interrupt. There's another ley line, which is pretty sick. It's a 4v5, but they have to fight for it. Meta gets caught out in a route. He had no choice. He had to try and contribute. It was a full all-in there, and it looks like maybe Simplicity will be delivered their first loss of the season in a best-of-5. And it took Probius. It took Probius to deliver this result. Incredible. Storm with the unexpected 3-2 victory against Simplicity. All thanks to Probius and nothing else.
Probius, apparently the most dominant hero from our most recent patch. Rhaegar 50%, Probius 100%. As I expect to just see that in every single Storm League game. But with a score of 3-13 in kills, Justing, I feel like we're seeing a little bit more that Storm Esports are really, really finding their own stride in the latter half of HeroesCCL Season 3 group stages.
Yeah, Storm Esports definitely ramping up. They are the first team to take down Simplicity, so Simplicity's not invincible. Unlike some Probius facts, he's a 100% win rate, he's 3-0. He is invincible, apparently. And Probius is the unstoppable God King. So those are my notes for Probius. I guess I don't know how much Probius was actually the factor in their wins. It didn't seem like he was doing anything like super spectacular. I think it just kind of rounded out the comp fairly well, and it felt like Simplicity. It kind of punished Simplicity. They have to either be really decisive in their engages and kind of dive the backline and take advantage of the squishy Probius, or otherwise they just sort of stand there and take poke damage. And if nothing else, having the Probius kind of forces Storm to play a little bit slower and to kind of just take their time in fights. And I feel like that alone might be part of the benefit that the Probius gave them. That maybe it also puts a bit of a damper on Lauber playing a little bit too aggressively, as he sometimes does, knowing that he's got a Probius. He doesn't have crazy follow-up diving in on the backline, so he can play like a little bit safer and just rely on his range DPS to carry the fight. That last game was basically just Storm dominating from start to finish. It really did feel as though Simplicity was not comfortable at all playing the Medivh Diablo. I'm going to be pretty critical of Masquerade on Diablo and Unaverted on Medivh this game. I think if they were comfortable playing that combo together, this should have been a fairly easy win for them. I really don't like that Masquerade went the W build, the standard typical meta Diablo build right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much worse with Medivh. The enemy team comp has very little CC that can stop him from auto-attacking. The auto-attack build, while it is fairly niche, this is one of the situations where you absolutely should be playing that if you're Masquerade. You have a Medivh to make you invincible, and you have the ability to combo your APOC with the leyline. Unaverted on Medivh was hitting very big ley lines, but there's really no follow-up. All they have is, if they had an APOC, that would be great. They probably would have just one-shot them over and over again in fights. They had huge ley lines from Unaverted, but the follow-up is Fire Breath. And the counter to the Fire Breath was just Malfurion pressing Trank, using Tranquility, just completely negated all of the Fire Breath damage. And also, with the W build, you don't really want to be diving backline, so I have to be critical of it. It looked like they've never played that before. It looked really bad for Simplicity. The Medivh Diablo, they did not look good on that at all. And Storm Esports looks good on Probius. IBTings played very well on Vala. He was very safe. He constantly gets damage out, because it should be kind of scary to go up against Medivh Diablo, but for him, it didn't really look like either Probius or Vala were really under any threat or playing scared at all.
No.
So really well played by Storm Esports, being able to bring it back in the reverse sweep. I'm proud of them for finally being able to take down Simplicity.
Yeah, I like, there was actually one point in the near final engagement where IBTings just literally stood in the lightning breath of Masquerade and took no damage, as you had mentioned, because there was just, I believe, there was BBJ's heroic popping off right there, and it was just constant damage from IBTings. Once again, showcasing very good positioning, very good play on that Vala, but we don't have an interview with IBTings. We actually have an interview with the solo laner. We've got Dequaza on the line to talk about this matchup. And Dequaza, how you feeling, my friend, beating Simplicity?
I'm feeling slow. Actually slow.
It's got to feel really good to beat a team like that. And as always, I don't want to hog all the questions, so I'm going to throw it on over to Justin for a question or two.
So how does your team kind of deal with, how is comms and stuff when you're down 2 games in the series to Simplicity, the first place team? You know that you have to win 3 games in a row and reverse sweep in order to win. Did that play some part in your picking of Probius in game 3? And just, I guess, what is the general mentality going into that game 3 when you're down 0-2 in the series?
Well, I don't think it really did matter on the previous pick, because we just picked it because it was open. It was banned on the previous game, but we weren't down at all, like on the mental. And the logo was just calling. Last week we got reverse sweep, so this week we're gonna reverse sweep them, and we did.
Nice.
It was really, really good. Question. I have a quick question for you, Dequaza. What are your thoughts on the patch? Do you like the new patch that came into Heroes of Storm?
I actually haven't played the game much, but I see Probius being, let's say, good, and I kind of like Probius, so I guess that's fine. And Rigar seems broken, and I guess I like it. I like the Probius.
Okay, all right. I just want to get your thoughts on it really quickly, but let me throw it over to Grubby for a question as well.
Yo, I just saw a clip from Cure's stream where he took his tier list. He moved Probius from tier G all the way to tier S. Do you think you're going to be able to get away with your Grand Theft heist of stealing series with Probius? Do you think it's going to get through the draft to your next series?
Well, I don't know. because actually, like in all our like previous games, I don't know if Probius actually have a lot of value. I don't really see, but I guess we went 3-0 with Probius, so I guess it's broken. But I actually don't really know.
We said the same thing. Like after every game, we're not actually sure what he did.
Yeah, but we are winning. That's the main part.
Probius doesn't do anything in game, but he does win, so that's enough.
All right.
That's-
Okay, all right. Well, today I learned how to get to the highest rank in Heroes of the Storm and Storm League by just picking Probius. But Dequaza, thank you so much for joining us for the interview. Before I let you run out, are there any shouts that you'd like to give? The floor is all yours.
Well, shout out to Storm, shout out to my teammates, shout out to the Probius, of course, and shout out to the chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Congratulations once again on your reverse sweep against Simplicity, the #1 seed in HeroesCCL. Good luck in all your preparation for week number 7. We'll see you next Saturday up against Granite Gaming. Good luck in all your scrims, and you have a great one, my friend.
Thanks. See you.
See you. Man, it's kind of funny that we get an interview with Dequaza, who was in the solo lane playing a lot of Dahaka, and we go, "How do you feel about Probius?" And he's just like, "I don't know what it really did, but we won." So it's just like maybe he's kind of messing with us a little bit, or maybe he doesn't want to give away the answers to the question. But still, really cool play coming out from the side of Storm Esports. As I had said, they reverse sweep Simplicity, and that's just we'll see how all the standings at the end of the weekend or maybe the end of the day have pushed people up and down with that little bit of an upset per se. But as you saw at the bottom of our screen, things did flip over. We're getting ready for another best of 5. Yes, we have one more best of 5 here on HeroesCCL. It's going to be Chili Mountain up against 30K. And we actually had a wonderful moment where we had Kyle Ferguson sit down with Make to kind of interview Make and ask him a few questions leading into the series. One last thing while we're in this bit of a interview section and we're getting ready for this next best of 5, I'd like you all to hit exclamation point merch in chat. We actually have season 3 merch, and if you'd like to check out some merch or get yourself some cool face masks as well, you can definitely use exclamation point merch to get yourself over to that store. So make sure you check it out. Some cool stuff over there. I'm actually wearing one of the new season shirts today. They got like Heather Gray as one of the options. But either way, I've rambled enough. Let's get you all into that interview with Kyle Ferguson interviewing Make here on HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom.